Committee meeting. Thank you to the mayor, to Director Sear, and Councilor Marks, who is just arriving. First, I'll ask if there is any public comment, and we have no public comment, so we'll move right on into. All right, we will allow. No, go ahead. All right, thank you, Nancy. We have one sign up for public comment. And before I proceed, I'll just make a reminder to both anyone speaking tonight, please make sure the green button on your microphone is lit, and please speak directly into the microphone for both the folks listening to this at a later date and our council assistant one transcribing the minutes. Another announcement that City Hall Wi-Fi is currently down, so we will not be streaming live, unfortunately, this moment, but the video will be posted once the internet is restored. Jim Diaz, go ahead, sir. Sorry, Jim, could you just hit the button on the microphone? And you will have 3 minutes.
Okay, James Diaz Saavedra, 12 Farnsworth Street, New London, Connecticut. Thanks for your time to listen to a couple of things I might have to say here this evening. One of the things I wanted to mention was the street signs in the city of London. I've been advocating for probably close to 7 years now for the city to get together their signs. A lot of what I call burned out signs that are faded and useless. We have a sign department, we have a sign personnel. I don't understand why we don't be proactive and go around and fix these items. If we're not going to fix them, I think probably we should just take them down. There's a lot of burned out no parking signs all over the city. And there's also a lot of street signs that aren't identified. I've advocated many times about the same issue, and I'm here again to say it again. I think really should be proactive about sending somebody around. I mean, they have people on the personnel on the streets every week, garbage, police, that could take note and get this corrected. To me, it's very unprofessional. Hopefully something could possibly be done to correct this issue. The other thing I wanted to mention was Ocean Beach Park in New London, our beautiful park that we have here in the city, is in kind of dire need of some infrastructure repairs down there. I realize that there's an agreement between the city and I'm not too sure of a center plate or some other organization, but I would like to have the city possibly think about putting some funding into getting that beautiful park of ours repaired. It draws close to over 250,000 people to the city every year to enjoy the park. It is now considered one of the 25 best beaches in America, as far as I know anyway. And some of the issues down there is the perimeter fencing is pretty tired. You just take a quick drive around it and you'll see that it is pretty beat. It's 1940 issue, I think. It is heavy duty fencing, but a lot of it's just busted and the top rail's broken. There's also a lot of other issues down there that need to be corrected. Infrastructures, the walk-in ticket booth is crumbling. If you look at it carefully, it's slowly crumbling. There's leaking in the bathroom, men's bathroom, main bathroom there. The ceiling's blown out. It's just a lot of small stuff that needs to be done. And I think the city should really put some money in our own bucket to do maintenance for our beautiful Ocean Beach Park. So hopefully we can advocate for some money to be funded, somehow make an agreement with Center Plate. I know they put some money into this park, but it's mostly smaller stuff, and we need to step forward as owners of the park to advocate to take better care of it. It is a beautiful place. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jim. Also, I'd just like to acknowledge Councilor Dice, who's joined us. Thank you very much. And with that, we will move into the rest of our agenda this evening. We have 2 items up for discussion. First being the ongoing project at the Old Town Mill. Second being the project to install a roundabout at the intersection of Williams and Broad. So Director Sear, what I'd love to do, just to be conscious of time, we have about 24 minutes remaining. We'll try to split the time evenly in half of those 2 discussions. So if you could try to start with a summary on the ongoing Old Town Mill, and we'll try to limit it to 5 minutes. That way, councilors will have some time for back and forth questions before we move into the second discussion topic.
Understood.
All right. Thank you, Director. Please proceed.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. Yes, the first item up is replacing the historic shingle roof at the Old Town Mill structure. We have available funding now for an account that is called Bricks Brook and includes that city property up there all the way down to Winthrop Cove. And part of that is improvements to the Old Town Mill roof. This was brought to my attention a while back, the condition it's in, and it was also brought to my attention, rightfully so, that the city should be responsible about replacing the roof with the best available materials and the best available technology. I do appreciate the input of James Diaz, who came to me with some very specific recommendations in terms of materials and methodology for stripping the existing roof, putting down underlayment, putting in appropriate materials, and basically ending up with current technology that will keep the building dry and protected and safe for many years, but also be historically compliant or accurate with the history of the mill. So we took those recommendations, and I did have that project quoted through Gordian, which is a pre-approved contractor bid service, if you will, through the Capital Region Council of Governments, and they have prices that are competitively bid, and this project was quoted through all of those prices. I did have a discussion with them. They do lots of different sorts of work for municipalities across the state. They concurred that the specs we gave them for the roof is, I used to say Cadillac job, now maybe it's Lexus or something better, but is absolutely top-notch technology and approach toward doing what I said as far as getting a product at the end. It's historically pleasing and accurate, and also will function to protect the city's property for many years to come. And those specifications are included in your package. That's an overview. I'll take questions.
Perfect. Thank you, Director Sayre, and I appreciate your brevity considering our time. So and I also want to acknowledge Councilor Peck, who has now joined us. Thank you very much. So I'll start with committee members. Again, we're going to limit this discussion to the topic of the ongoing project at Old Town Mill. We'll go for about 9 more minutes and then reserve the remaining time for the follow-up discussion. I'll start with committee members. Questions for Director Sayre? Councilor Sadi, go ahead, sir.
Mr. Sear, thank you very much for putting this package together. I do agree that the Old Town Mill is in need of a roof. And thank you, Mr. Diaz, for putting the specs together. On its face, $71,000 for the roof, the size that the Old Town Mill has, is very, very large. Having said that, though, $30,000 of the $71,000 is for copper trim and flashing. And I'm assuming that is the type of material maybe the mill used when they originally built it. But I'm just wondering, is that $30,000 really necessary? And although Gordian does have a contract with this roofing company, that's more or less for square footage and not necessarily for add-ons such as a copper. And I'm just wondering whether or not through this state contract we're getting the best price we can, and if in fact it's really necessary.
I believe, and I can confirm that even the copper has been bid through their contract as a commodity, as a material. They have 3,500 items or whatever that they bid that really touch upon almost any material that would be used. So they go by their pricing, and then they look for a qualified craftsman, roofers, that can work within their price guidelines. So it's not like they have a roofing company themselves that are going to do it, but they're, like I explained, they're a pre-bid process to make sure that we get, and I believe copper would be part of that, the best price, because they've already competitively bid those prices. And then it's a matter of roofers that would agree to match that price. I don't want to go out of my lane, but I know copper, James Diaz can weigh in if he wants, that it's a functional, it's not just an aesthetic material that was historically used. I think there is a functional purpose to it, because as the rainwater hits it, it actually, whatever the chemical process is, it actually creates a deterrent, maybe a poison, if you will, to keep moss and things from growing on. So it's functional, and it might be historic, but it's also a really, really good way of keeping any growth or vegetation from appearing or growing.
And then the other question I have or comment is the fact that the roofing company that bid, or, that received the bid through Gordian seems to either be a Danbury and/or Brookfield-based contractor. And so I'm just wondering, are we going to be paying portal to portal, from Danbury to here and back? Or do we start paying when they hit New London? And if so, if we only pay, the 8 hours when they're in New London, are we responsible then for paying housing?
No, we're not responsible for paying housing or transportation, because the quote was based on an hourly negotiated rate through that bid for the work involved and the materials. How far those people come is not involved.
Thank you very much. I have no further questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilor Staddy. Councilor Peck, any questions at the moment? Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, doctors. Director Sear. I was going to call you doctor.
Not yet.
Sorry for that. What is the timeline exactly for starting the project and completion of the project?
There is, I'm not going to wing it off the top of my head, they did put a qualifier in here. Okay, let's see, project schedule. Materials and subcontractors will be scheduled within 5 days of receipt of purchase order from the city. Lead time of materials, labor, and equipment currently is approximately 6 to 8 weeks for site work and 12 to 8 weeks for cedar roof. Work will take approximately 45 to 60 days. So it looks like there's a 12 to 16 weeks for lead time for materials, and the other in 45 to 60 days.
Okay, now once they take the roof off, do they think they'll see any other issues in regarding to the roof, maybe the structure, that would make the cost go higher?
I'm not familiar with. Yes?
Please go ahead, Director Sear.
You know if the subs, the rafters and things underneath are
Everything seems to be well framing, and the subshielding, as far as I can see, is fine. There is an existing building paper underneath here, and I'm pretty sure it's ice and water shield, which is a sticky paper that's adhered to the subshielding. So as far as I know, there shouldn't be any other kind of issues that would bring the cost up, unless they agree.
Thank you, sir. No further questions.
All right, thank you, Councilor Peck, and I want to just spend 4 more minutes on this topic if needed, but I just want to offer any of the other council non-committee members, Councilor Marks, Councilor Dice, any questions or comments for Director Sear at this time? Alrighty, and I don't have any questions on this topic, so I will happily move along to our follow-up discussion. I believe you have a guest with you. Yeah, if we could just move one of those microphones over to your seat, that would be great. Oh, yep, either or, whatever's comfy. And just make sure the green light is lit. And so Director Sear, again, if you want to split the time between our guests today, but if you want to take 5 minutes for an introduction, summary on the roundabout at the intersection of Williams and Broad.
Absolutely. Yeah, as an overview, what you have before you this evening is a negotiated contract for engineering, design, engineering, and bid document preparation for a project we call the Williams Broad Roundabout. I'll give you an overview to that. The state has a grant program called LOTSIP, Local Transportation Improvement Program, and we've utilized that for 2 projects, and this would be a third. The first project was the repaving, reclamation, and other improvements for Ocean Avenue that we did in 2018 between Niles Hill Road and Neptune Avenue. And we're currently very, very close. Tomorrow the bid is going out, the bid notice in the paper for contractors for total reclamation of Jefferson Avenue between Broad Street and Chester Street, with the signal converted to a roundabout up there. Just to give perspective, this is a third project that would fall under that same program. The way the program works is, very briefly, the state, once everything's approved and they're comfortable with it, pay for 100% of the construction costs on a LOTSIP project. The city is responsible for all the design, bid documents, and all that work up front. So on Ocean Avenue, we designed it all, put it out to bid, chose a contractor, it got done. Jefferson Avenue, we're very close to putting that out to bid and having a contractor chosen. So the city pays for design costs, the state pays for construction and all what they call incidentals. And the way that process is, you put an application in, they review it, they talk back and forth. If everything works out, falls within their parameters, and it's all negotiated through the Council of Governments up in Southeast Connecticut. They play a very strong intermediary role in this. So the first step, you apply. The second step is you get a commitment to fund. That's a certain dollar figure. And then that's before the design is put together. After they have the design and all the construction documents, if they're comfortable with everything, they give you a project assistance letter, PAL, and then you get that money, and then it's up to you to spend that wisely and efficiently. So on Jefferson Avenue, we received the PAL. We're going out for construction. We've already paid for the engineering. On Williams and Broad, we've gotten what we call a commitment to fund. I think it's $3.2 million and change. It's in your package. So that says they're all in favor of it. We're going to do the design, and once that's accepted, that's a very rigorous process. Once that's accepted, then you get the PAL. So again, what you have before you is a proposal negotiated by myself with Fuss & O'Neill, and it's the same team that I've been working with on the Jefferson Avenue project to come up with parameters for design. And a lot of the LOTSIP, not a lot, but a significant amount of that commitment is public meetings and interface, and 30% design, 60%. It's very rigorous what the state makes you do. But Fuss & O'Neill, before my time, were the designers for, I believe, the 2 roundabouts down near Howard Street, down in that area. I've had a very successful and productive process with Fuss & O'Neill on the Jefferson Avenue project. They not only know the process of the road work and the roundabouts, but they coordinate with state DOT and the COG very effectively. It's a good working relationship. And that's why I discussed up front with them the proposal for this. They've done some preliminary engineering, and that's all gone well, and that was necessary to get the commitment to fund from the COG. It's mainly converting Williams and Broad, that intersection, taking out the signal that's in place now. Sounds simple, it's not at all, and that's actually in a heavily traveled kind of urban center, if you will, with a park there and all. But converting that to a roundabout, and coincidentally, when we started down this road, we did discover that there was a roundabout there historically at one time, and there's a couple pictures in your package. So that's kind of overview. Every project has its own kind of unique aspects. This one's going to be fairly complex because it's downtown New London. It's heavy traffic. They put us through the hoops on all the potential issues that we could have. But it's a roundabout, and then every feeder into the roundabout has what they call splitter islands, and within that splitter island is a pedestrian crosswalk with fancy signaling and everything. So it's not just so the cars can move smoothly through an intersection, but it's also so pedestrian access and crossing and all is maximized at the same time. It's an overview of the project and the process. I'll take any questions. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upstage. I do have the engineer, John Guzzi from Fulton O'Neill, here to answer whatever questions you might have of him.
Okay, great, I appreciate that. So we have 8 minutes remaining, just to be conscious of time. I'll start with committee members. Councilor Sadi, any questions? Or
Yes, I do. Thank you very much. So to recap sort of what we've read and what we've heard, this is a $3.2 million project, and the Fuss & O'Neill is going to receive 10% of that, $325,000, which is 100% the responsibility of the City of New London. The $3.2 million, which is the construction cost, that will be 100% paid for by the state of Connecticut. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. So, just wondering, this roundabout, whether you or the engineer, is there going to be a need to take any property, whether it be from the Williams Park, what is now the adult probation, the Chinese restaurant, and/or the multifamily that's on the fourth corner there? Do we know whether or not there's going to be any need for taking?
The answer is possibly. I will let him weigh in.
Yes, good afternoon. John Guzzi, Fulton O'Neill. Thanks, Brian. Yes, after the conceptual design for the application that was submitted to both the COG and for DOT approval, the conceptual layout, the footprint of the roundabout at Williams Abroad will likely impact a sliver of property there to ensure we get the proper dimensions for the roundabout to work properly there, as well as diagonally across, I believe you mentioned, the probation property as well. There'll be a slight taking there.
Now, what about, do you think that we're going to lose the business that's on the corner there? I think it's presently a Chinese restaurant and then a pizza house right behind it.
No, those are going to be maintained, and actually, I believe thrive better with the pedestrian mobility that the roundabout allows. But that corner and diagonally across the historic building will both maintain their properties as is.
Thank you. I have no further questions at this point in time. This is Councilor John Sadi. Thank you.
thank you, Councilor Sadi. Councilor Peck, any questions right now?
Thank you. Just a comment. During the study of this roundabout, what findings did you find as far as the flow of traffic, and will it impact the drivers as far as like accidents? I mean, getting used to the roundabout in that area, was there any thought in regards to that?
Over to you, Jim.
Yeah, so in our preliminary traffic analysis during the application phase, the roundabout improves the traffic capacity and level of service at the intersection, but what it does by far is decrease the accident rate and improve safety. With a standard signalized intersection, the number of conflicts and severity of crashes is significantly higher than a roundabout. So looking at the crash history from UConn's repository, as well as working with Brian and the police department and their reports, the rear end crashes that's occurred in the past, I believe the fatality that has happened in the vicinity, those chances of crashes will be significantly reduced with the implementation of a roundabout, and the severity will be definitely decreased.
Very good, thank you, sir. I don't have any other questions.
Thank you, Councilor Pack. I'm going to get one in before I'll let's see the last few minutes for other councilors. A couple things. So one, I know, Brian, we've run into some issues in that area around sidewalks and trees. Has there been any discussion as to in the center of the roundabout, if there'd be any landscaping or any green space in the center island?
I will refer, yes, is the short answer to that question. We, on Jefferson Avenue, we spent a significant component of the project looking just at the center of the island, and the best way to make that is useful, attractive, environmentally responsible, et cetera, for the city. It gives us an opportunity to work with. I'll defer unless you have a reason why we can't do that here, but that is a
Yeah, to follow up on what Brian said, the public information meetings, everything thereforth will give that opportunity to put what, we call a gateway feature in the central island, and whether that's a sail at Jefferson Ave or a rain garden to potentially help with stormwater sustainability, climate resiliency, a flagpole, DOT roundabout committee, they love uplighting. Uplighting provides, safety, so, vehicles and drivers approaching the roundabout know it's there. So there's many things that can be implemented, and in this proposal, we included time with the landscape architects and everyone to incorporate something unique.
And then a quick one for you, Brian. I think there was a patch put on it recently. When you're going south on William Street, there was a pretty significant bump going through that intersection. And I think I noticed an asphalt patch put on it recently. Still is pretty bumpy. I guess my question is then, in terms of is any other a question around timeline? Is that a kind of thing that we think we can leave alone because this project will be completed in a matter of 6 months to a year, or will we need to address that again?
No, based on DOT, and they really do have kind of veto power over this process, it will not be done within anywhere near that time frame. So any current issues that are there, please communicate those to me separately. Those will be addressed. There won't be a component of waiting for this project to happen.
Understood. Thank you. And I know we just have a minute left, but I'll open it up to other councilors, comments or questions for Director Sear or Fussin O'Neill. Being none, it is 5:59, so I'll entertain one last motion from the committee members.
Councilor John Sadi, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, motion's on the floor to adjourn. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The meeting is adjourned at 5:59.
Thank you.
And if I could, just to the other councilors who, just let you know that Wi-Fi in the council chambers is currently down, so that they're not streaming live right now, but the video, I was told, will be posted to YouTube once internet is restored. So I just wanted to put that out there. I made that announcement at the beginning of the last meeting.
Thank you. This is President Pro Tem Dice, Chair of the Finance Committee. It is officially 6 p.m. Today is May 16th, 2022. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Do we have any public comments? Okay. Seeing none, I would like to acknowledge all the councilors that's present at this moment. Councilor Marks to my left, Councilor Burke, President Dominguez to my right, also Councilor Sadi to my right, and Councilor Pack is present. I'd like to say thank you to Ms. Dalton for taking time to fill in for Ms. Stars. Boy, I'm screwing everyone's name up, excuse me. Stars and Dolan. Thank you. And thank you, Mayor and Director McBride. this is a continuation to view and discuss, year 2 budget of the American Rescue, Plan from the United States federal government. So, I'm gonna open it up to the Director of, Finance. If there's anything that you would like to point out, and just an overview. I know we're just gonna discuss, because we're, about the proposal of setting up the buckets for year 2. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The information that was provided to you in the package was similar to the information that was provided to you earlier. This budget has been reviewed, has been provided to you in the past. It's really just a summary, and what we're doing is we're creating the buckets as we've done in the past. The detailed components of those buckets are the information. If you refer to the final page of the agenda, buckets are divided. The first component is human services of $2 million. Jeannie Milstein can talk more about the details of how that process will work, but my understanding is it will be similar to how it's been working this year, in that if and when this is approved by council, once the money comes in, if it's approved at the $2 million, Jeannie will go through her committee, and the same process will be followed as has been followed this past year. The next bucket is economic development, and that's Felix Director Reyes will be handling that as well, and that's an allotment of $2 million as well. The next bucket is recreation, youth, and housing. That has $1.52 million allocated in it, and this is in summary. So if you look at some of the prior pages, there's some other detailed components, such as in the recreation, youth, and other category, there's $1.27 million in childhood environments. That's where we feel that money will be utilized best. However, that is subject to change. One point to note is the recreation, youth, and housing, as currently doesn't have the process in place that Director Milstein and Director Reyes has, so those will most likely be coming back to you for approval, similar to how the NEST proposal came back to you for approval. Revenue replacement and reduction in expenses of $1.9 million. That we'd probably be seeking approved on passage, and I think what we'll do is at the next reading, probably have another column in each of these buckets in terms of how it will be approved. We would be making a recommendation for that to be approved on passage. That is similar to how I believe you approved at the last meeting. There was about a $419,000 an allotment for revenue replacement of lost funds. We'll do the same thing with revenue replacement and reduction in expenses to offset some overtime fire in the public works as a result of COVID. The next category is capital expenditures. This is a $3 million total number. We have some detailed components to that, but that would require coming back to council for approval as well. There's some thoughts on, possibly an ambulance, the internet access, which you've seen previously would be in there, an indexing project for the city clerk's office, the electronic storage of documents initiative is in there, and potentially the regional dispatch as well. But again, that money is just the allocation currently that we're recommending. That money would not be approved unless it would come back to you for your approval. The next category is the water infrastructure, and this is specifically for the Lake Conomic Dam repair project. As you know, that's the main drinking source for the city of New London. In speaking with Joe and the board of the utility, the water authority, they really need to have that repaired, so they're asking for $1 million of an expense that will be over about $1.5 million, potentially more. So we've allocated $1 million for them. Some of the other public health expenses of the $1 million, there's some community policing initiatives in there. If you recall, that was from year 1, and we're carrying some of that forward for year 2, 3, and 4. And the one other point I should have started off with this is, although this is being recommended for appropriating in year 2, these funds will continually be used for the next 2 years. This is a 4-year budget, so I don't want you to think that this money is going to all go out and be spent, right away in year 2. This money is projected to be expended for year 4 through 4 years, just as the money in year 1, you've only probably encumbered about $5 million of the $13 million. So these funds are 4-year funds. This is just setting up the recommended buckets for where you will hopefully utilize the funds. And if there's changes, we would obviously come back to your approval. And the administration and other is really mainly to maybe some potential consulting costs that we're going to need to help us out in submitting some of these proposals. And it's really a plug figure to get you to your 13.11 number. But none of that will be spent, and that would require your approval as well. That's just a high-level summary of what we've discussed in the past and what we're recommending for the buckets into those major categories. Thank you.
Thank you, Director McBride. I'm going to open it up to the counselors that have questions. I'm going to start to my left, which would be Councilor Burke, and then we're just going to go around. Oh, excuse me, Mayor. Is your button on?
It's
Mayor?
on.
Oh, Mary.
How's
Thank
that?
you.
Okay. If you want to give Director Milstein a chance to address the budget, and then Director Reyes, I think it might be.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, Director. Milstein.
On, right? Thank you so much, Madam Chair, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. I will be very brief. Thank you again for all of your support to the mayor, to councilor, to the city council, and in particular to President Dominguez for serving on the committee, and Councilor Marks for joining us as we finished up round one of year one funding. So as we go forward, I think it's important to, as I discuss our process, that our process is part of a larger initiative for the City of New London that is very transformative in nature. It is based on well-being, and it is based on our commitment to address racism as a public health issue. So over the course of 4 years, and we're starting to see change already, the way I frame what we're doing in the City of New London is around health, safety, learning, and earning. That covers, we started out with our Birth to 8 hub. We're starting out with very, very innovative economic development initiatives. In terms of safety, looking at our parks, the environment, looking at infrastructure, it's all part of that. And so as we go forward, I hope that that can be our lens. And at the same time, we're transformative. We're also very, very committed to clear outcomes. The way we've been doing things hasn't been working as effectively as we would hope. So as we go forward, and we're seeing it already with our human services bucket, we need to be very, very clear about our expectations, our outcomes. And in our bucket, we are collecting data. And we're collecting data in a very different way now. We're looking at systems barriers as well as the individual outcomes. We're no longer measuring progress by how many people are served. It's really about, are they better off as a result of this? And are we addressing this systemic issue? As we're spending our ARPA funds and thinking about how to go forward over the next few years, we're at the same time addressing the policy issues that might be barriers, practice issues that might be barriers. As we're working with Full Frame Initiative, who helped us with our procurement, who's helping us with our data collection. We will report back to you on a regular basis, and we know what's good for human services is good for the other buckets as well. We require any of our grantees to attend a monthly community of practice where we get together, we talk about what everybody's doing, we talk about evidence-based practices, what's best in terms of science. And that's, really, really enhancing our work already. We're using our money to leverage other money. We will not fund, as you know, President Dominguez, just a good project. It has to be systemic in nature, it has to be able to leverage other funds, and it has to be sustainable. We already see that money we've given to the Homeless Hospitality Center has enabled them to get more resources to finally set up, we hope, a housing resource center in Southeastern Connecticut. We haven't had one. And it's not just about, it's about preventing homelessness. It's about helping people who own their own homes keep their homes. It's about helping people be able to purchase a home for the first time. The work that we're doing around food and getting food that's accessible and healthy to our neighbors. The collaborative relationship already between two of the grantees, and Fresh New London. And our efforts are getting recognized. Full Frame has been, sharing what we've been doing. We've already presented to the White House Office of Management and Budget, and they've sent our process for our Human Services bucket onto the White House. We've presented to the National League of Cities on Zoom. We've been invited to speak. In fact, Zakiah Williams going to Washington to talk to the American Human Services Association. Apparently Burlington, Vermont is interested in what we're doing in other communities as well. So I want to be brief because I know Felix will be speaking, but I go back to everything we're doing is around well-being, around equity, and health, safety, learning, and earning. And I think we should all be reporting back to you on a regular basis how we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Milstein. Do any of the counselors have any questions for her at this moment? Councilor Burt.
Yes, I had thank you very much, Director Milstein. I had a question for Director McBride previously. So, Director, when you mentioned that, I believe, if you could just confirm that, well, there was nothing in our backup upon what items were approval on passage or referred to a specific committee, et cetera, that you intend to try to provide a list of that by the second reading, was that correct?
Yes, excuse me, yes, my intention would be the next reading will have, in essence, another column in this spreadsheet, and we'll have a recommended approval process for each individual dollar amount. And you'll have the discretion to say either it goes back to the Public Works Committee or the Health and Human Service Committee or the Economic Development Committee, or approved on passage, or whichever you desire.
Okay, I'm glad we're doing this as a process of 3 readings, because I think that I was assuming that nothing would be approved on passage based on the fact that nothing was there, but glad we can start that conversation. Curious of how that process will go out, and I'm sure you will communicate to administration recommendations on that to counselors ahead of the second reading, just so, because I'm sure we're going to have some input as well. So just want to emphasize, I think, the importance of getting together and starting those conversations sooner than later. But that's the only question I have, Chair. Thank you very much.
Councilor Marks.
Thank you, Chair Dice. Through you to Director Milstein. Thank you. That's the health, safety, learning, and earning. I think we should have those like signs like we do for economic development all around town, because that's wonderful and it works. And I love how you're going through, of the 30 clients that ICE case managed, 3 of them are facing homelessness right now. I've also seen firsthand the need for community policing when we deal with our people that suffer from mental illness. So much of what you say is so true, and that racism is a public health crisis, and I thank you. So how much money do we have left from the first years in human resources?
Human Services, thank you.
Community services, yeah.
We have $500,000 left. We have an RFP out now, and the deadline is June 1st for applications. We held a workshop last week. We're using the similar process. The priority areas in the first round were immigration, housing, food, and seniors. And this time we are leaving it open because we want to see what kind of innovative ideas we get, and we're really, really encouraging collaboration.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you for all you do. Appreciate it.
I mean, I don't want to sound redundant, but good evening, Director Milstein. Fabulous work. I really just enjoyed being part of that. And just, how this has opened even more people that are interested, not only in this state, but other places, for them to learn from this committee. I wanted to say that, what we covered last time, immigration, housing, foods, and senior superb, and now that you have all this, like $5,000 like you said, I think it's just the collaboration of having, the different people who are experts in their areas, and come together to bring about, change you know? And one thing that I like what you said was, it's not about, the numbers. It's about, are people better off when we assist them? That's key. Because we could throw a lot of money somewhere and if people are not better off, then, what did we do? So I like how you emphasize that, and that's how you're measuring, the way that you're going about this. And so my question will be this. So when it comes to like health, could that be the birth to 8? That's something that we will see them better off in the future. Can you elaborate just a little bit on that?
I would say that it comes under health, and it also comes under learning.
Okay.
We're getting our kids ready for kindergarten at the earliest stages. I think the first money that you approved for our bucket was having a mental health consultant for early childhood. We have a mental health crisis in our country. You look at the data, and it's shocking to see young children sitting or in cots in emergency rooms waiting to be seen, let alone waiting for a bed or an outpatient service. And we're seeing those very small children. The teachers, the staff, and the families are already saying, thank you so much. The consultant is there to say, here's how to deal with this situation, that, or here's some tools, here are some referrals. So yes, absolutely health, learn, and I would actually say it's part of earning. When you have good quality childcare, your parents can go to work and they don't have to worry, and they can be more productive employees when they're at work. Safety.
Yeah.
When you have high quality childcare, your child isn't being taken care of in some perhaps unlicensed situation. So I would say birth to 8 is health, safety, learning, and earning.
Yep.
It's about helping people thrive. That's what we really want to do with our ARPA money. We want people to thrive.
Yeah, I love it, and this will be my last question. I know probably but I heard that there's even a waiting list for kids or children to be part of this. Well, so that's incredible. Hopefully, they'll take this and it could be modeled around the state. So thank you, and I'm glad that you're here working for us here in New
Invite
London.
you all Wednesday night at once a month, 5 to 6:30. We have community events, and we hand out food. We hand out diaper. We had a safety month a couple months ago. We handed out life jackets. We always have lots of goodies. It's wonderful to see all of them. We provide food.
Yep. Thank you so much, Director Mills. I yield the floor.
Do any other counselors, Counselor Peck?
Thank you, President Pro Tem Dice. Good evening, Ms. Milstein, Director Milstein. Question and a comment. You mentioned about public health and mental health, which is huge right now. And I'm glad that you're devoting your time with our youth in regards to mental health, because it is something that we all can agree that they need these days. But one thing I did not hear and I'm concerned about is mental health for our seniors and our veterans. Was there any thought as far as what's, to combat the mental health for our seniors and our veterans?
Actually, in the first round, we are in the middle of interviewing right now for a newly created position through the ARPA funds at the Senior Center for an outreach worker. And because we have a director and a bus driver and a secretary there, we haven't been able to do the kind of outreach we've always wanted. So once this person is hired, that will be part of the person's job description, is to go around to the community, find out, first of all, encourage more seniors to attend, find out what they would like to, programming like to see, and also exactly that, to find out what their mental health needs are, and we will do referrals. We're hoping, and this is a good public forum, to say, please submit ideas, respond to the RFP if you have ideas for mental health projects for our seniors. We'd like to see that expand as well, of course, and for our veterans. So let's get the word out to the community to think about applying for the $2 million, because based on what I would say our committee discussions, President Dominguez, mental health for all of our neighbors will be a priority. I mean, think about so many seniors who were so isolated without telehealth because they didn't have internet, and without sometimes cable TV. So that is a priority, I would say, for our committee, and we just need people to respond to that. And broadband, too, is another priority.
Thank you. And my final question is, you brought up the topic of how we determine that racism is a national crisis. Exactly after coming to that census, what are we doing now that we know it's a big issue? What type of programs, exactly what are we doing?
I think, since the ordinance passed a couple of years ago, I think each department is doing different things. I mean, we have as part of our framework, that's why I say well-being and racism as a public health issue. We have that as one of our questions in our procurement RFP. You have to respond to us in terms of how you plan on dealing with the equity and racism issues in our community. And we scored the first round. That was a very, very high priority area. And in all the work that we do every single day, we're mindful of the outreach we do to different communities, languages, the trusted messengers that we use. And I know the mayor, too, has made a commitment. And
Thank you.
Excuse me, Council, thank you, Councilor Peck. Councilor Sadi, you have the floor.
Thank you. More so question to Director McBride as opposed to Director Milstein, and that is that I believe our total ARPA money was 25 million, is that correct?
Total is 26.2.
Okay, 26, so that breaks down into 13 and 13. And of the 13 million that we bucketed out last year, how much have we expended of that 13?
As of 3/31, we've spent 1.7, but we've encumbered 6.2. So we haven't necessarily paid all those amounts out, but we've entered into contracts and agreements with organizations and companies to move things forward. 6.2 is your encumbered total.
And then July 1st is when we're going to start taking applications for year 2 through year 4?
Yes, what we've understood is that we'll be receiving the money in June, and then after the money is received, assuming the council approves these appropriations, we'll start the same process. Probably July 1st.
And the money that was not utilized in year 1, do we lose that or does that roll over?
No, absolutely not. Those funds will continue to roll forward. You have 4 years to use all the funds.
Thank you very much. Now turning my attention then to Director Milstein, first and foremost, as all the other council said, thank you very much for all you do. Your leadership is greatly respected. Health, safety, education, and earning, is that, those are the 4 areas that you had mentioned?
health, safety, learning, and earning.
Well, okay, health, safety, learning, and earning?
Yes.
Okay. Like you said, the education was, and health was that Birth to 3, the BP Learning Mission Program, which created the pre-K, correct? Which is a very, very good program also. What is the name of the organization that you've subcontracted with? Did you say it was Full Frame Initiative?
Full Frame Initiative. They're a national nonprofit.
Yeah. So at this juncture, I have, and then you mentioned also Wednesday meeting 5 to 6:30. Is that every Wednesday or is that just?
Once a month.
And that's this Wednesday coming up?
That's this Wednesday. Please stop by. It just warms your heart.
Yeah. And where is the meeting held?
At the BP Learned.
Okay.
For the birthday.
Unfortunately, this week I won't be able to make it because I'll be attending a grandchild's concert, but.
Congratulations, but I'll make sure, I thought you were all on the mailing list. All city councilors.
And then did you say you also have a weekly meeting or a monthly meeting of all the stakeholders?
Yes, monthly community of practice meeting of all the people who've received.
Weekly or monthly?
Monthly.
And I would appreciate to be included in that email also. Thank you very much. I have no further questions.
Thank you, Director. We're gonna, because our time is limited, I would like to also bring up Director Reyes to share. And what I'm gonna ask, because it's 6:26, and we do have a CAM to bring forward to the council, could we limit our questions to 2 questions for Director Reyes at this time? And thank you for respecting that. Oh, Director Reyes? Thank you.
Good evening, council members. Thanks to you for having me this evening, and just kind of give you guys and gals, sorry, a quick update on where we're at first year, and I'll give you a quick update on what we're thinking about for second year. I'll try to get through this pretty quickly, so allow for more time for questions. And of course, before I start, I'm always available. Please reach out to me. Don't hesitate to ask any questions as we go through this process. That's what it is, right? It's a process. So right now, in year 1, we have distributed around, or earmarked around $256,000 of our economic development for city grant matching. One of the biggest things that we talked about during the first year was how do we leverage these dollars to go after other dollars? Well, we successfully have done that with the Community Challenge Grant. So this evening, you're going to see a CAM for that appropriation. So that comes out of our economic development bucket of money. The other chunk of dollars that you received recently on approval is our infrastructure, historic preservation, and business storefront activation dollars that have come to council over the last couple meeting agendas. That gives us around about $450,000 to $500,000 has been invested on ongoing projects to preserve and make sure that our historic buildings are there for the future to come and have spaces for our new entrepreneurs and business owners. The other piece is the arts and culture sector. As anyone knows, anytime I speak on the economic development and the revival of our downtown, heavy emphasis on arts and culture, music, painting, art, anything of that nature that really defines the culture and the fabric of our city's downtown. Those dollars, that's just around $250,000, are invested in that. That is for year 1. Our partners at the Cultural District are managing those dollars with the help of City Economic Coordinator Elizabeth Nocera, and you have seen those on your agenda, some of the spending that they're doing, staffing, and initiatives that they are moving forward for. So I'm really excited to start seeing some of the arts and culture sector get involved in some of the decision making of how these dollars are being spent, right? It's really them that's really boots on the ground and understand the funding. And then the last tranche of money that we've been focusing on is our businesses. So we have partnered up with the Women's Development Council to Women's Development, Economic Development Council to help us manage those funds for several reasons. Number one, got to support our female and minority-owned businesses. They really understand the network of that. Although they're going to be supporting all New London businesses, that's a niche market that they truly understand that several municipalities kind of fail at. So we wanted to make sure that we understood the equity piece in our investing in our small businesses. So we brought them in, and they are matching the $200,000 that we have. They're going to match that with $200,000 of state money to that. So again, it hits the mark on being able to leverage and identify additional dollars that are out there. So they're going to be managing that for us. They have process in place, and very excited to work with them. And they are also moving to downtown New London and being one of our big partners to really drive economic development in our city. Finally, we have community development, right? Community development is really based on helping homeowners purchase houses, neighborhood improvements, park improvements, and making sure that our current homeowners have the assistance they need to remain in their homes, whether it's a boiler, roof. So our community development has the funding for that. It's a lot, but we're hitting a lot of different sectors under economic development. So that's the year one. And that's currently where we're at. And right now, of the 1.2 that we have invested in economic development, we have about $200,000 left to allocate for year one.
Thank you, Director Reyes. This is President Pro Tem Dice, and I'm going to open it up, the floor up to the councilors, and I'm going to again start to my right with Councilor Burt.
No questions, but thank you, Director Reyes.
No questions, but thank you so much.
And then to my right.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to Director Reyes. Just a comment, it's just incredible, everything that's happening in our city, I mean, and just the investment. I do have one question. So the $200,000 that is left in the bond, is that going to be either going to the arts and culture, is that going to the businesses, community development, or wherever the need is? How do you gauge that?
Yeah, so the $200,000 is part of the grants that we had spoken about that are going out. They're open, and it's a rolling system. We have applications in. But the reason I haven't awarded all the applicants that have scored high enough to receive is because we wanted to make sure that we had the money to match the community challenge grant. So I had to wait to get that reward, understand what our match requirements were, and not put the city in a position that we gave out too much money and now we're saying, gosh, we don't have the match for the almost $6 million that we're getting from the state. So now that we know that number, the intent in tonight, there's 3 more grants that are on tonight's agenda, is to continue to process those applications and get those projects moving.
All right, thank you, Director Reyes, and thank you for what you do and your staff. Thank you. I yield the floor.
Councilor Sadi.
Thank you. Correct me if I'm wrong, your bucket was 2 million? I know that's what it is this year. Was it 2 million last year also?
Close, yeah, it was around $2 million with the community development funding, correct, yes.
And then, how much of that have you expended to date?
Well, right now, we have about $200,000 that hasn't been appropriated. So everything else has been appropriated to neighborhood programs. So the drawdown, I don't have the drawdown on that, but in regards to earmarking dollars, we have about $200,000 left of dollars that haven't been earmarked. And that's for the grant application processing. So that would go in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, so I thought community development to purchase housing and things like that, you said was about 1.2 million?
The community development was broken up into smaller buckets. There was $150,000 for first-time homeowners, the one that we created with the school district. We used that funding. There is $150,000 also for neighborhood enhancement. That's all done through our community development office.
Thank you. And I guess just one point though, is this meeting over at 6:30 or at 6:45?
6:45.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Councilor Pack.
Thanks to President Pro Tem Dice. I have no question today. I just want to thank you for everything that you do, that's all.
Also to mention, part of the economic development is our supporting other facilities, city facilities as well. As you know, the public library was a recipient of this. So even though we're looking at entrepreneurship, new businesses, we are working with affiliated organizations as well to make sure that they have the same right funds as well. So we're excited about digging a new roof and they're working on it.
Did any other counselor had any questions or from Director McBride or from the mayor? Okay. So I'm sorry. Councilor Sadi.
Thank you. No, you just said 2 questions, that's why I limited myself. So I just, writing my notes down, the first dollar figure you had mentioned was $256,000, and I didn't get a chance to write down what that was for.
That is the estimated match allocation required for the Community Challenge Grant with the state of Connecticut.
And then 500,000 was infrastructure, historic buildings.
488, so I'm rounding up to 500,000 so far in grants that have
480,
been.
yeah. And then 250 was arts and culture,
250,000, yes,
and 200,000 to Women's Economic Development Council.
for small business, correct.
Yeah. And then $200,000, something match state. Oh, no, the state's gonna match that.
Correct.
And then 1.2 million community development, and then you start to break that. So I'm good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Reyes. I don't have any question at this time, but just want to extend I guess I just want to say thank you for your, for all the different projects that you've been working on throughout this year. And one of the things that I've been impressed with, just with all the different projects, seriously, and businesses, and I'm really excited just with all the doors that's been opening up in our community to local people to open up business in our area. And I think you and I had a conversation, you mentioned about 7 restaurants. So that is really impressive during a time where we're dealing with, I pray coming out of COVID, and but during a time of shutdown, the city is still building and working to bring opportunities to local business owners. So just want to share that gratitude that I have for your due diligence in pressing forward and doing the best for the city. So thank you.
The whole administration. As you know, economic development is only happens because we have a great police department, we have a great fire department, we have a great hospital here, we have great people. It's all connected, and it takes for you to make a lot of hard decisions to help us open up those doors. Thank you for trusting in our department.
Okay. So this council, we do have a CAM that we need to move forward. So I'm looking for a motion. Oh, excuse me, Councilor Burt.
Thank you, President Pro Temp. I will move for approval of CAM 4 to approve and refer to council under actions of the Finance Committee. For the first reading of Ordinance 51622-1, the City Council approves Ordinance 51622-1 in the amount of $13,111,932 made for the funds received through the American Recovery Plan from the United States Treasury in fiscal year 2022. The ordinance is given its first reading. The process of passage by title only. All councilors having copies, and the first reading of the subject ordinance is adopted by a roll call vote.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion. I'm sorry.
I was just waiting for, were there any questions?
Not in committee.
Oh, excuse me. Oh, we don't need to move this CAM to,
No, yeah.
Thank
But I
you.
think you want a discussion on it.
I'm sorry, Councilor Sadi.
Yeah. So my only question would be, I'm sure it's a typographical error, and it says made for the funds. I believe it should say made from the funds. In the CAM, sentence 2, first word.
Made for.
City Council approves ordinance 50-16-22-01 in the amount of $13,101,932 made, and it says the word for. Is that supposed to be from the funds?
To be received, yeah, we.
No, I actually think that may be correct. It's the amount of 13.1 million is made, and it's for the funds to be received through ARPA. I think that, I mean, I'm not an attorney, but I
Okay,
think that.
the word is correct for?
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
Okay, so I have no further questions.
Okay. And I just want to, just point of clarification, because my understanding, this CAM need to be moved to council So we just had discussion, so we're voting to move this camp to the regular council meeting for 7 PM. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. May I entertain another motion?
Motion to adjourn.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Adjourn.
All right. 4 minutes, we'll be starting with the Neighborhood Assistance Act Tax Credit Program, public hearing. let me just get the piece of paper where I had it. Right, so you are hereby given notice that the Council of the City of London will hold a public hearing on the following, today, May 16 at 6:45 PM. The City Council will meet and have a public hearing on the 2022 Neighborhood Assistance Act Tax Credit Program. So good evening to all the councilors that are here. And what we'll do is we'll start with public comment. All right, so we have Margaret Suslov. Okay, thank you. So, Suslov, thank you so much. All right. Just state your name and address, and then you may proceed. Is it, I'm sorry, is that, yeah, is it on there? The green, there's a button that should turn green. Yep, and you'll have 3 minutes, okay? Allocated to you.
Again? Should I repeat that again? Okay, so I'm Margaret Suslov. I'm representing Safe Futures from 16 days. We're here we have put in an application for the Neighborhood Assistance Act, and we're asking for funds to replace windows at our on-site program at 34 J Street, Phoenix House Transitional Housing Program, which has 9 apartments and house about maybe 32 people at a time in the 9 apartments, adults and children. But also in that same building, we have a in-kind donation center, and that probably serves about 1,000 people a year. We also have a conference room, training center. So it's sort of a multi-service building. The building, right now, the windows are about 30 years old. We're asking for just over $25,000 to replace 25 windows. We need 48 altogether. We had gotten some of this money 2 years ago, and Eversource had given us money for 8 windows and upgrades. So we're asking for some other funds.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, our next public speaker will be, Shanda, okay. Shanda, easy. Thank you so much.
Our youth sponsor program. We service all of New London County out of juvenile court. We're looking for funds to continue to support the youth and activities for them. All of the volunteers, all of the mentors will be volunteers, and they will be trained and recruited through our department, and we will continue to work with the youth that are in New London.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for coming this evening, and also, Margaret, thank you for also being here and speaking on behalf in this public hearing. So that was our final speaker. With that said, I will entertain one last motion. Not that I know of. This is all I have. It's a public hearing, so. Yeah, we do. We have to adjourn, yep. So is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Okay, this public hearing is over at 6:51 p.m. Thank you and good evening. See you in about 7 minutes. City Council meeting. Okay, good evening to everyone. Today is Monday, May 16. The time is 7 p.m., and I'm going to call New London City Council to order. I want to welcome the mayor, Mayor Pastoral, Attorney Landrigan, Director of Finance McBride, Director Reyes, and also I want to welcome Director Sears, and especially those that are here this evening, sitting in our comfortable seats. And with this, I'm going to ask City Clerk Ayala to do the roll call vote, please.
President Dominguez.
Present.
President Pro Temp Dice.
Present.
Councilor Peck.
Present.
Councilor Staddy.
Present.
Councilor Marks.
Present.
Councilor Burke.
Present.
Councilor Rosario. 6 present.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, I will call on President Pro Tem Dice, who will lead the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, President. This is President Pro Tem Dice. I'm going to start off with the prayer, but I'm going to ask everyone, just take a moment to close your eyes and just to breathe. This has been such a hard time in our world right now, and I'm asking everyone to take a moment just to be thankful for being able to be present right here, that if your family is safe, being thankful for safety for your family, being thankful for being able to breathe. I ask that we take a moment to give out support and uplift, encourage, and just surround our thoughts in a positive way to the families that have been harmed this weekend. I pray that we take a moment to be thankful for our city, that we were allowed to be able to march in for the right to choice, being able to bless the motorcycles that came out this week, being able to enjoy Ocean Beach by having a craft sale. I want us to be thankful for all the community, all the ethnic races that's right here in this community, being able to live together and understanding that we all have rights and feeling and respecting that. I ask us just to take a moment to realize that as we stand in this council chamber, that we are representing different parts of our community, and realize that each one of us have a voice, and we need to look at the people that we are serving and make sure that their needs are met. I'm saying that today is a day that we will go forward at this meeting and any other meetings, looking at what is best for our community as we go forward. I ask these things in Jesus' name, and I thank you all for being here and taking a moment with me to realize that we have a lot to be thankful for. Now I'm going to ask all of us who would like and able to stand up. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance, but we all can say it now because we're not on Zoom. And then when it's time to say in Spanish, I'm going to ask everybody again who can say it in Spanish, please do so. And thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In Spanish, please.
Prometo lealtad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América, a la república que representa una nación ante Dios, indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, President Pro Tem Dice. All right, at this moment, we are going to have our community center update. I'm going to call Director Reyes up. The floor is yours, sir. Thank you.
There it is.
Yep.
Okay, Counselor Burke, this is a special one for you. I'm excited about this as well. Thank you, Counselor, for having me this evening. This evening's update, should be a quick one, but it's a fun update. We're getting away from blocks, and we're actually seeing spaces. We're actually seeing some furniture and some of the spaces that our community and kids are going to be using every single day. So I'm going to start with the multi-purpose rooms. So right now in our current plan, we have, everybody see the arrow that I'm moving? So I can use that as a reference. All right. So right now we have 3 multi-purpose rooms. This floor plan that's laid out shows 2 used as one large multi-purpose room, but as you can see here, there is the folded and the doors that kind of tuck away the partition that can close this off, so there's 2 multi-purpose rooms and 2 separate events at the same time. The concept in working with our Recs department and youth affairs, really the concept of the northern multi-purpose rooms is for gathering, is for arts and visual, and for training and things like that, large gathering spaces. So these are going to be fitted out with full audio, video, top-notch, what it's going to take to have large, whether you're training, having a wedding, or using the space for large, other types of other commercial large gatherings. So the architects laid out the plans and showed essentially how many tables can fit in there, and just give you a kind of a good sense of scale when both multi-purpose rooms will be fully opened up and fully used to its max capacity. So that's the northern upper multi-purpose room. So we call it 1 and 2. To the south of that, we have family style room bathrooms. As you kind of see that throughout, we have some unisex restrooms throughout the building. And on the lower level, one thing to mention, this upper is also for arts, crafts, pottery. There's the flooring material, the sinks, all that will all be able to be done in this, whether it's at the elementary level or for the seniors to use. This is what that room would be used for. So that would be outfitted with a lot of the technology, audio, and sound quality improvements. The lower room here is essentially our call it the ballet room, we call it the dance room, the yoga room. This is an activity space, so the flooring in here is going to be a little bit different than you would see. It's a little bit softer for sound. Here's going to have the music audio for classes. As you can see with the furniture laid out, this has mirrors along the wall. It's got like the ballet poles that are being held, and this is kind of where a lot of our dance classes will be taking place. Up here on the top, you get a little bit of a 3D perspective of all the tables laid out. It gives you an idea what it is to stand when you enter this room. I'm gonna see if that helps. Oh yeah, that's much better. Get a sense of scale. It's once you open up these 2 rooms, this is going to open up to a magnificent space. We foresee a lot of the residents using this for personal use as well, renting the space out for whether it's a wedding or a birthday party or a special event. And it's just something that we don't currently have right now. Venue space is absolutely at a premium in this city. Also, you can see the kind of the ballet, dance, and the other types of arts that would be able to utilize the other multi-purpose room. So I'm going to quickly pause there because I know we talked a lot about multi-purpose rooms. I just want to get some initial feedback before we go into the other spaces.
Any counselor? Oh, Counselor Burke.
Thank you, President Dominguez. I just wanted to thank Director Reyes. He knows that it's something I've been asking for a while, and also just extend my thanks to the whole task force. I observed the last meeting where you went over this. One question in the northern more room, in terms of, we're going to be doing a lot of different types of things in there, from presentations to other stuff. Is there any storage? Like, I'm thinking if they have a small music class and they want to, nothing crazy, store a couple instruments or music stands, or if there's an art teacher who wants to leave a couple of easels. Any storage that could go along with that, with either of the multipurpose rooms for that type of thing?
Yeah, so we actually thought about that. So there is general storage in the building. One of the things that we can't control is people coming in and out of buildings, so we don't want to leave that stuff out, right? So the tables and chairs and things of that are needed for that space are already built into a larger closet. They'll go on racks and drawn in, but the building has a larger general storage outfit where if you have an arts or a music program for 6 weeks, they would assign them that general storage to keep things on site that is safe, locked, and protected and not open. So, these spaces can be used on different times of the day, and then once they run that program, they would bring the music instruments in. So, I'm glad you brought that up. We actually thought about that one.
Good. Awesome. Well, glad to hear it, and nothing further, but thanks again.
Director Reyes, I was going to ask you, so the northern multipurpose room, there's two, you said?
There's two. It's shown in the plan as one larger one to just show what the max ability of that space can be. But if you can see, there's this little box right here. Mm-hmm. That is the foldable partitions that will break that up. So you can have a conference going on in one, you can have a training, or you can have a kids' art class going on in one while training in the other. Or a birthday party and going in two different ones.
I see that. And so, is that furniture, the circles, is that what that is? Tables?
Correct, yeah, tables and chairs.
All right, thank you. Councilor Sadi?
Yes, so, in the overall community center, where exactly is that room? I mean, is that over a basketball court, or is that over a pool?
That's on the second floor.
Right, but is it over?
It's actually open, and I'll show you the plan. I'll go to the next plan and I'll show you exactly.
Oh, okay, so just question for this, he's gonna go on?
Yes,
Okay,
definitely.
then I don't have any questions right now.
I'll show you exactly where they're going. So on the first floor, this is the first floor of where that multipurpose room is. So it's going to be sitting on top of where the conference room is, where the child care. So as you know, this community center has a child care facility for those that use the gym or use the exercise equipment. That's on the first floor, and the second floor will be the multipurpose rooms. The last plan I wanted to show, because we have some furniture, is we've been working with the Parks and Recs to make sure that there's space, make sure that the teenage and the community lounge is outfitted to make sure that that space is used all day, every day by either our seniors or our teenagers after school, and our staffing for programming. So this just gives you a little bit of snippet. Parks and Rec department. You walk in, you have your greeter, workstations, you have your offices for your directors, have workstations for youth affairs, some more offices, and right adjacent to that, you have this, which I think is an incredible space for our seniors, residents to come in. This is essentially open at any time that the city is open. So I don't see this opening at 10 o'clock at night or something, but this is really for after school and during the day, where you can go in, you can study, you can play games, you can meet a tutor, you can read books. These are our computer stations for our residents that can be used, and this is all connected with our Parks and Recs and Youth Affairs. So I think this space, out of all the spaces, I personally see this going to have the most traffic. Having a lot of fun with designing that space, and here's just a quick 3-dimension of what that space would look like. And the thing that we're talking about a lot about is that we can predict how spaces are going to be used, but I think everybody's more excited of of things they're going to use it that no one thought of. So spaces are not being over-designed. So it's getting to, okay, this will take care of the majority of what we see as the needs based on feedback. But I think organically we're going to realize that a lot of these spaces are going to change, grow. Furniture may change, use may change, and that space is going to be whatever the community needs it to be. And that goes for a lot of the spaces within the building. That's all I have to share in regards to updates for our Parks and Recs office and the this evening.
All right, any counselors, questions, comments, before we let Director Reyes go? Councilor Burke?
Thanks, President. I thought of one comment / suggestion and then one question. As you're talking about the lounge, I don't know if this has been decided or not, but, mentioned accommodating our teens. One thing I think would be really smart to do is, obviously making sure that there's plentiful outlets in that room, but maybe having outlets with just, USB instead of electrical adapters. You could probably fit more of them in an area. That way, a lot of our, youth, as they're making their way around the city, can stay connected and with their phone charged. Another thing, going back to the multi-purpose room, I think you mentioned the example of if someone rented it to have a wedding. I believe there are elevators, and I'm just wondering, weddings requires a lot of stuff if they bring a DJ in and lots of decorations and things like that. So in the bigger scale picture, what would that, an operation look like if in terms of where can a van park with supplies and getting it into the first floor and up an elevator? How does that look in terms of ease of whether it's a wedding or a big conference that has more equipment that needs to be traveled up to the second floor?
The building does have a loading dock. So for deliveries, whether it's everyday FedEx stuff or actual people bringing in equipment, our fitness center's on the second floor, right? So our elevators and stairs are designed to make sure things can come up with ease. So they would go to the loading dock. Instead of dropping off in front of the building, they would back up to the loading dock, bring their equipment in, and they would bring it in the hall. So the loading dock is directly a corridor. Right at the end of it is where the elevator is. So they would go straight up and go right to the room. So yeah, those kinds of things are available.
Perfect. That's all. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Burke. You know what, that brings me to a question. How big is the elevator?
I think it's the standard size. Some of the elevators are sized up based on the size of the building and based on the use of it. It's not a freight elevator per se, but it's got to be big enough to move equipment up and down.
Yeah. No, I just thought about, how many times do they have to put stuff in there to go up and then come back? I just thought about that because I know when they have whatever event they have, they're going to bring, but.
It'll be bigger than the one here.
Yes.
I can guarantee it. Yeah, you get real comfortable in that one.
We got to fit more than 2 people in there. All right, so thank you with that, Director Reyes. Any other counselor? Seeing none? Okay, thank you, Director Reyes. Appreciate the updates, always. This community center is coming. All right, so with that said, we will move on to the next, which is public hearings. There was a public hearing this evening at 6:45 p.m., the 2022 Neighborhood Assistance Act Tax Credit Program. Next, for 20 minutes of the previous meeting, I need a motion to approve the special meeting of April 25, 2022.
So moved.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. It's been seconded. All right. Any omissions, additions? Nope. Seeing none, hear none. Okay. Let's vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Next, I need a motion to approve the regular meetings of May 2nd, 2022.
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Marks. Seconded by Councilor Peck. All right. Any abstentions or omissions or additions? No? All right. Seeing none, all right, here we go. Let's vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. Thank you. The motion carries. All right, with that, we will come to public comment. I was gonna say we don't have any public comment, but we do. Thank you, Nancy. All right, we have one public comment this evening, our wonderful Karen Paul. All right. You know the drill already. Ms. Paul, state your name, address, and you will be allocated 3 minutes. At the 1 minute mark, City Clerk Ayala will let you know.
Ooh-hoo. Karen Paul, 281 State Street. I don't know why you just don't put me on the agenda, you know? Anyway, I mean, could you continue the council meetings? I was going to speak to something, but I spoke to Director Sears, so let that one go. I did want to remind, and I hope you all got the flyer about the line dancing this Wednesday. Please join us, bring your friends, bring your neighbors. You know, it'll be lots of fun. I will say that during this week, I did get some information from Ocean Beach Park about some of their evening activities, and I understand that the same line dance group will be performing there at least twice this summer. But you can get in on the ground floor when you come to the Senior Center on Wednesday. Wednesday at 6 o'clock. And we always have good snacks. Even read my own writing. Let's see. Oh. The Senior Affairs Commission did write a letter to the mayor and to Rector Red about, because so many doctors have moved out of the city, we wondered if there wasn't a way that we could use the Smart Ride. Director Red did respond to me with a letter and suggested that possibly we could use the seat ADA paratransit or paratransit program. So he's going to send me that information. So hopefully we can get that, because there's a lot of the seniors. I know earlier Jeannie was talking about health and so forth for the seniors, and there's a lot of seniors that aren't going to their doctors because they're out of town, and right now we don't have a senior bus for medical transportation. So hopefully that will work out. Speaking of health, we are scheduling our health fair for September, and if any of you have any suggestions, ideas that you think of people that might want to join our health fair, you know, there's no charge for the table, for the booth, or anything, just let me know, because we are having a planning meeting this week. So, next I have, the other night when I was listening on the task force for the community center, Director Reyes left, I think. I know when they were talking about the dance room, she said something about the mirrors, but she said they had found a product, and maybe the mayor knows a little bit more about this, a product that reflects like a mirror, but it's not going to break like a mirror. That they could put on the walls. Do you know anything about that? Okay. Well, that was, I think her name's Amanda, that was talking about that. So I think that would be a wise investment, because especially if that room is going to be used for other things other than dance, then you could get something in there that might break a mirror. But these things, I don't know exactly what it is, but it wouldn't break quite so easily. So that would be my recommendation. I think that's all I have tonight. But again, we'd love to see you all Wednesday. Yep. I know a couple of you won't be there, but maybe next time. But, you know, I would go with you to the city to see a play. By the way, the seniors did go to Providence Performing Arts last week and saw My Fair Lady, which was just wonderful. Thank you all.
Thank you, Karen. All right, so that is our last, we'll move on. Thank you so much. With that, no petitions, and now 5C, response to public comment. Councilors, Councilor Marks.
Thank you, through you, President Dominguez. Just, Ms. Paul, if people are on Husky, Veyo, V-E-Y-O, will pick them up and take them to their doctor's appointments. It got a very bad press when they first took over, but I call it all the time, and it really does work now. And even if somebody has oxygen or if they need a wheelchair. So people, if they do have Husky or Title 19 Medicaid, they can use Veyo.
Thank you, Councilor Marks. Any other councilor? Councilor Sadi?
As always, thank you very much, Karen Paul, for coming out and giving us all the wonderful information that you do.
Thank you, Councilor Sadi. All right, Councilor Peck?
Just want to say thank you, Ms. Paul. It's always good to see you here, and, you know, thank you for giving us the information about what's going on at the senior center.
Okay, I think that's it. Thank you, Ms. Paul, again, for always being here and being part of, you know, our city council meetings. All right, so with that said, we'll move on. Next is reports and communications. Director of Law, Attorney Landrigan, does anybody have questions? I see Councilor Sadi.
Not sure if it's a question or comment, because actually there is easements with Amtrak, I believe it is coming up on the agenda. But under the general side, and Amtrak pole easements, and again, I think that we have something on the agenda regarding easements with Amtrak. As far as I'm concerned, there's a safety issue with Amtrak and the Green Harbor Beach. And I'm just wondering, is there any way we could use some of these easements as leverage to possibly get proper fencing installed so that if in fact children were at that side of the park, they'd be more safe with a fence installed?
For purposes of the easements that are going forward this morning, or this evening, I don't know how much leverage could be used on a separate part of the track down at Greens Harbor. I believe that the city has notified Amtrak about that a while ago, especially when Greens Harbor Beach was redone. But so are you asking if you want to deny the easements tonight in exchange for them to have to address something down at Greens Harbor?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, is that something that would likely place us in, you know, legal jeopardy, or, you know, I mean, I think that the easements probably have to be granted because of their status. You know, whether they could take it through eminent domain or whatever, I would assume that they have certain rights.
Yeah, if the easements are not agreed to with Amtrak, then their next step would be to take the easement property that's necessary by eminent domain.
Yeah. So again, would it be in our best interest to use this as leverage to possibly get these, at least get their attention to get these fences installed so that who's ever in that park could be more safe?
Yeah, I would say it's probably not a wise decision to use these easements for this project along those lines, but I can certainly convey the concern of the city to the attorney for Amtrak that I'm dealing with on these particular easements.
Thank you very much. Second, under the general side, number 4, Greg Smith, asbestos contract for school projects, complied final well, it says complied, but I think it should be compiled, right?
It says compiled.
Oh, I'm sorry, it does say compiled. So could I just get a copy of that, if possible?
Of everything that was provided to Mr. Smith?
Is there just a cover letter, or?
No, it's a DVD with substantial paperwork and contracts and such with a particular vendor, but we can easily burn a DVD for you and provide it to you.
That would be great. Thank you very much. And then under number 5, Board of Ed high school emails to and from Crack and T-Mobile regarding cell towers at the high school. Who receives the income that is generated from having those cell towers on the high school? Does that go to the Board of Ed, or does that go to the City of New London?
I don't know the specifics of that. That's not one thing that I'm dealing with. Attorney Eastep with my firm is dealing with it. My understanding is that I believe it's a city building, so my assumption would be that the income comes into the city. I'm being told by Director McBride that the income comes into the city.
Because I believe that the income from the cell tower at the Salamonte field, I believe, is earmarked for the city recreation department, correct?
In center field of the baseball, I believe that was part of the arrangement, yes, but I don't know off the top of my head.
I have no further questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Sadi. Any other councilor on this? Nope. Okay. All right. Thank you, Attorney Landrigan.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. So with that said, we'll move on to council committee reports. Councilor Burke.
Thank you, President Dominguez. The Council Public Works Committee met at 5:30 this evening for purposes of discussion on both the ongoing renovations at the Old Town Mill, and then followed by that, there was discussions on the potential roundabout at the intersection of Williams and Broad Street. Questions were asked by councilors of Director Sear as well as engineers from Fuss and O'Neill. General discussions about all of the projects, but there are some preliminary approvals related to both of those on the council agenda that will be considered. Right. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor Burke. All right. At this time, I will call on President Pro Tem Dice.
Yes, this is President Pro Tem Dice. Thank you, President. At 6 p.m. today, which is May 16th, we had a Finance Committee meeting. And during this Finance Committee meeting, we had the opportunity to review Year 2, American Rescue Plan funding from the United States Treasury for fiscal year 2022. And this, during our meeting, we had 2 presentations, one from Director Milstein and from Director Reyes. And during our their presentation, it just gave us an opportunity to listen to the process of approving funding requests from the community, and also get an update on how much money was spent from these funds. One of the things that I just want to make note is that Director Milstein, she shared just with the outcomes of how the funding went to the different organizations and how they're working together to do what is best for our community. So I just want to say that was our meeting, and the CAM did go to this council meeting, and thank you.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Dice. All right. So at this time, we will go into the Mayor's Office Communications. Good evening, Mayor Passero. You have the floor, sir.
Good evening, President Dominguez, members of council. Start off tonight with some significant employee anniversaries in the city. We have firefighter Eric Foster has 32 years of service. End-use coordinator Shelley Briscoe is celebrating her 23rd year of service in the city. Police Sergeant Brian Laurie has 19 years of service this month. Police Detective Richard Kokuro, 19 years of service. Police Detective Melissa Strapansky Broadbent has 15 years of service. And Police Secretary Bethany Huntley has 15 years of service. So please join me in congratulating those employees around.
Yes. Pardon me, sir. May I?
Yes.
And you forgot someone. Mayor Michael Passero, 38 years of service, 31 years as a firefighter, and currently serving his 7th year as elected mayor. So with that, we will congratulate to you, sir, and to all those others.
Okay. Thank you for calling me out.
I'd love to do that.
Okay, so moving on, we, on Saturday, February 7th, a week or so ago, we celebrated the ribbon cutting for Spark Makerspace's new Forever Home on Union Street. They've done a marvelous job renovating and rehabilitating the former Masonic Lodge there, new roof, new job, quite a bit of work, a lot of work inside, this organization is just providing a great new amenity to the people in New London, and they're doing quite well. So if you haven't checked out Spark Makerspace, please do. They have a lot of great offerings, and it's just a great community down there. We had a successful blessing of the bikes Saturday down at the waterfront. Really quite a big turnout. That event has really grown, and it was fun to attend. Of course, backing up a little earlier, May 5th on Cinco de Mayo, we had Eat in the Street shortly after your last council meeting, and as you all know, it was really a great turnout and a good event. Of course, I was attending the planning and zoning meeting that night, but hopefully the schedule works better next time. There is the first Thursday of June is the next Eat in the Street. Ocean Beach Park this past Saturday had a tag sale. This was by far the largest tag sale that the Save Ocean Beach group has hosted. It literally was stretched, the vendors stretched from one end of the boardwalk almost down to the far east end. And so, bravo to them. The beach was really packed Saturday, so early in the season. This is EMS week, and so we want to congratulate and thank our public safety responders, especially the amazing crew that we have in the New London Fire Department. The theme for this year's EMS week is Rising to the Challenge, and Chief Curcio sent out a heartfelt message to his members this morning, thanking them for their service and reminding us that the members of the New London Fire Department rise to challenges every day, many of them unknown prior to their arrival. These public safety officials are never quite sure what they're responding to until they get there. So a big shout out and thanks to the fire department. They'll be celebrating EMS week all this week. Speaking of the fire department, in case you weren't aware, there was a rather dramatic water rescue at Ocean Beach Park, and not at the time of the day you would expect it, but 6:30 in the morning. The fire department responded to the beach for a person in distress in the water, in the rocks off of Ocean Beach. So all 16 of our on-duty firefighters responded to that emergency. One of them, Jason Urban, went into the water. The water, by the way, is 48 degrees. So your survival time in that water is probably 15 to 20 minutes before hypothermia takes away your muscle tone and your ability to reason. So he entered the water, and they have cold water gear and tether and lifeline, and he brought the person back to shore, assisted by the rest of the crew and police officers. The person was transported, and the outcome was good, but wouldn't have been but for the great work of our police and our fire department, as always. So I want to recognize them and thank them for that life that they saved. Now, as we know, this past weekend was, another terrible one for our country as far as hate crimes, with the terrible mass shooting in Buffalo. And our personnel director has reached out to the city staff. I think very appropriately with this message this morning in response to the mass shooting on Saturday in Buffalo, New York. We want to remind you of the availability of our Employee Assistance Program. We provide 24/7 immediate access to counselors for emotional support and information and resources related to a crisis. All services are free and fully confidential. While acts of violence have an emotional impact on all of us, we realize racially motivated hate crimes are particularly traumatic for the target group. This attack has left many of us feeling vulnerable, distressed, angry, sad, and afraid. If you are concerned about a colleague or a family member, please refer them. So I thank Director Collins for that offer of assistance and reassurance to our employees. Wednesday, I'm sure you know by now, the city will be hosting a visit by the Vice President of the United States. She is the commencement speaker at the United States Coast Guard Academy. This event, we're honored every 4 years to have the president, every 4 years to have the vice president. In the other years, we usually get high-ranking dignitaries, cabinet secretaries, but it also showcases the amazing professionalism of our police department and our fire department, because that event takes all of our personnel, and we also coordinate with many other public safety, law enforcement agencies in order to provide security for the event. We'll be doing that again this coming Wednesday. And congratulations to the graduating class of the United States Coast Guard Academy as we send them off on their careers protecting us next Wednesday. It's a big week as far as visits by federal dignitaries. On Friday, the Secretary of Energy, Jennifer Granholm, will be visiting New London to tour the State Pier project and to discuss wind power as the future energy source for our country. On Thursday this week, in these chambers, Thursday morning, we will host the monthly meeting of the Southeastern Council of Governments. They're going to hold their monthly meeting here in our council chambers, our wonderfully renovated council chambers. Thank you to Tom Bombria. And then the Council of Governments are going to go tour the construction site at the State Pier. I'm getting towards the end, sorry, a lot of notes today. Finally, I want to point out that we'll be unveiling the new Public Art for Racial Justice mural at Fulton Park. Artist Marvin Espy has been working on that for weeks, and it'll be unveiled this coming Sunday, May 22nd at 2 p.m. So put that on your calendar. Fulton Park is currently under renovations, and we're also ready to kick off the expansion of our green space in East New London as we begin the project to open up Briggs Brook and create the greenway between Fulton Park and the Old Town Mill. That whole neighborhood is being transformed. With that, that wraps it up, Mr. President, and I'll take any questions if anybody has any.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Any councilors with questions, comments? Okay, President Pro Tem Dice.
Mayor, if I'm not mistaken, you received a letter of funding for the park that's right by OIC on.
Oh, my
yeah,
goodness.
that's a big one, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's a big one. So there's a great partnership. There's so much going on in the city. I could take up the next hour with everything, but that is certainly something that has to be pointed out, and you'll be hearing more about this. But as you know, we've been working with the Freedom Trail neighborhood. Their dream has been to take an empty lot on Hempstead Street, where an old factory stood, and to turn it into a neighborhood park. The city was able to acquire the lot about 2 years ago, perhaps 3 years ago. And we've been working ever since on getting the funding to remediate the lot and then to transform it into a neighborhood park. We got the federal grant for the remediation of the property. We were notified of that this past week. That's worth a few $100,000. I don't remember the number.
600,000, Mayor.
600,000.
Yes.
So
Yes.
okay.
And I'm just excited about it because I, just seeing your team work, which, Tom Bombriel, and it just, I just happened to go to the workshop with them, when my first term, myself and it was Councilor Booker, and we went to learn about Brownfield and how the city will help us, to, obtain a grant, and UConn, the students there and the professor. So anyway, it's awesome to see things become a reality. So I just wanted to just say good job to the team.
Okay, it's great news. I love it. All right, so with that said, thank you, Mayor Passero. All right, and with that, we will move to the consent agenda. President Pro Temp Dice. Yep. Yep.
Okay, 6.0 consent agenda. That the consent agenda proposed set forth at the regular meeting of May 16, 2022 are either 1, accepted for the record, 2, referred to the committee named, 3, waived from the committee to be acted upon as proposed, or 4, consent to as proposed.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Burke. All right, with that, I'll start reading. 7.0 unfinished business, 7.1A, B, C, D, E. Okay. F, G, H, I, J. All right. 7.2. 7.3, A, B.
Councilor Burke, pull B.
B, okay, thank you, Councilor Burke. Okay. 7.4. All right. 7.5. 7.6, 8.0 new business, 8.1. Okay. Okay, so that was 8.1, okay. All right, 8.2. All right, sir. All right, 8.3. 8.4, A, B, C. All three, okay. Okay, 8.5, 8.6, A. A and B, A and B, okay. All right. 8.7, 8.8, 8.9. Okay. 8.10, 8.11. 8.12, 8.13. 8.14, 8. Okay, 8.15, 8.16, 9.0, okay, 10.0, I will pull that, executive session. All right, and then we have the adjournment. President Pro Tem Dice, you're on.
All items having the unanimous support of the city council are hereby adopted with a single roll call vote. The motion are second, and the chair call the roll, and the chair declare the motion to be unanimous voted and adopted.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Burke. With that said, let's have City Clerk Ayala with the roll call vote, please.
Councilor Marks.
Yes.
Burt.
Yes.
Councilor Peck.
Yes.
Pro Tem Dice.
Yes.
President Dominguez.
Yes.
Councilor Sadi.
Yes.
6 yes.
Okay, thank you. City Clerk Ayala, okay, with that said, we'll start. Just a reminder, all councilors move to camp, wait for the second, and you may proceed. All right, we have Councilor Sadi.
7.1E, move to CAM, receive for the record the Planning and Zoning Commission report.
Did anybody? Did you?
Yep.
Yep, second,
So-
and you want to refer to?
Well, that's through you to Attorney Lonergan.
Okay.
So what happens to this report, Attorney Lonergan? We receive it for the record, does it go to a committee, or what happens to that report?
No, as of right now, it's just the Planning and Zoning Commission has given a favorable report for the inevitable narrowing of Governor Winthrop, but the council is going to have items on this issue to vote on in the future. So this is just more of a house cleaning issue at this point in time. It's just getting that preliminary administrative approval step out of the way to know whether or not you need to vote on those other items by a simple majority or by a supermajority.
Thank you. So I have no further questions, and I have no interest in referring it to any other.
So you just want to receive it for the record?
Yes, sir.
All right, sir. Okay, anyone else? All right, so let's vote to receive for the record. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Okay, the motion carries. All right, next we have 7.3 B, Councilor Burke.
Move the CAM.
Second, Counselor Dice.
City Council approves the second reading of the education budget for fiscal year 22-23 in the amount of $45,215,500. The ordinance is given its second reading in the process of passage by title only. All councilors having copies, and the second reading of the subject ordinance is adopted by roll call vote. Thank you, President Dominguez. Just one comment and then a question to Mayor Passero. I think it shows a new era in our city that, even any of our readings of budgets can be left on consent agendas, that we're working more cooperatively together, and the administration has taken a lead, putting taxes in the right direction while still providing bolstered public services. I just wanted to, again, thank you for your leadership, President Dominguez, and the Joint Budgetary Task Force. Communication has been better than it has been in the past, and although there is a difference between the Board of Ed's request and what is being proposed here, I'm not here to offer any amendments or changes, but sort of bring light to the fact that members of the council, the administration, have been in communication with the Board of Education members and President Maynard Adams on some other things, specifically related to possible potential changes in the non-lapsing fund, which would increase the amount of the total dollars that the Board of Ed is able to hold in that fund at any given time, especially with the amount of vacant positions they currently have. I think this could be a good long-term plan for them in the future, as they have used ESSER and other federal grant funds to establish programs that, when those grants expire, are probably not the best idea to be taking away from our children. We need to build sustainably in the future. So I just wanted to just question through you to Mayor Passero, if you just wanted to add anything on that, summarize the administration's feelings on possible adjustments to the non-lapsing resolution in the future.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I have had discussions with President Maynard Adams, and we will be presenting you with a revised non-lapsing fund resolution to make changes. One of the changes is the type of expenditures they can use the money for. I'm not sure, whatever we have, there's statutory requirements, and then there was some requirements that we put on ourselves. So we're going to essentially, if my memory serves me, amend the resolution so we're just restricted by the statutory requirements. Okay, if that answers the question. The other thing I want to point out is that the state did come through with a $1 million increase in their aid to our school district that we did not anticipate at the time we passed the budget.
That does certainly answer my question, Mayor. I appreciate your leadership and cooperation. I look forward to getting in the weeds on some of the details of that resolution. But again, just wanted to highlight that as, new era and us working together, not against each other. City side, school side, all same team. So that's it, Mr. President. Nothing further.
All right. Thank you, Councilor Burke, for highlighting that. Awesome news. With that said, any other councilor? All right. Seeing none, we will vote. Okay. Let's have City Clerk Ayala.
Councilor Peck.
Yes.
Councilor Marks.
Yes.
President Pro Temp Dice.
Yes.
Councilor Burke.
Yes.
Councilor Sadi.
Yes.
President Dominguez.
Yes.
6 yes.
Okay, thank you. The motion carries. All right, at this time, 7.4, we'll go to Councilor Sadi.
Move to Cam.
Second.
Having received 4 applications and held the required public hearings, the New London City Council hereby approves the following programs for submission to the state of Connecticut for participation in the 2022 Connecticut Neighborhood Assistance Act program. So through you, I was going to ask Mr. Bombier, but I don't see him here this evening, so I guess shame on me for not calling him earlier today to ask him to be here. The comments I do want to make is the fact that the 4 programs that we are approving funds for seem to be very honorable programs. I'm glad to see that they submitted, full taxation documentation and the like, which gives us an insight into who the individuals are that we're providing these funds for, being the liaison for the funds to be done. And I appreciate the fact that Safe Futures and you sponsor did send people to the meeting this evening, so I plan on supporting this measure at this time.
Okay, thank you.
No further questions or comments.
Thank you, Councilor Sadi. Any other councilor? Okay, seeing none, we will move on. Let's vote for 7.4. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Let's move on to 8.2. Councilor Sadi.
Move to Cam.
Second.
City Council hereby approves the contract with BMP Construction for the roof replacement on the Old Town Mill in the amount of $71,578.27. The City Council authorized the mayor to sign the contract and any other documents necessary and incidental to effectuating said contract. Funding is available 2144313A 54500 ARPAF. So through you, Council President, to Director of Public Works, Seer. Thank you very much for all the backup. In general, as I had mentioned at the Public Works meeting, I found roof replacement at the size of the mill, $71,000 to be somewhat high. And looking at the backup that you supplied, I saw that 30,000 of that went for a copper flashing and trim. And I understand that the prices of metals and everything else is very high right now, but that to me just sounds, being one half the budget, seems to me to be somewhat absorbent. And also, and I understand how the state contracts work, but there's no way we can get local contractors to bid on this if we go your way?
The unit prices are set for the materials. I can't say that if we went out with a local contractor, we would get less, but it's a supply and demand, and it's currently what that metal is charging for. So that item, that material item was bid out, and it was bid out a while ago when BMP got the contract from Gordian for those unit prices. It was competitively bid.
And I do apologize, if you wouldn't mind turning my attention, because I did see the labor prices and the prices per square foot and all that stuff. What I did not see was the metal pricing anywhere in this contract, but maybe I missed it. I did go through it pretty good, but
I have my copy up here right there.
I'm sorry, what page? And you said that has the name, but you say, is that saying something about the copper pricing? Because
It's, as I'm reading it, it's itemized by square foot. The material is 32 ounce, 0.043 inch thick copper flashing and trim, quantity 800 square feet, unit price $29.64. And the way Gordian prices things out, they price out a base price, and then there's a factor that's bid that is, well, ultimately it's the contractor's profit and overhead operating costs, et cetera, that's added to that base bid. And that factor is what was bid out competitively on all of these items originally. This is the low number. And those are the unit prices, and that's the total of the 30,000.
And I apologize, could you just give me that page number again? Because I see page 8, but my page 8,
I think in the upper right it says 3-P7.
oh, P7. And which category is it, 10 or 11, or which one?
It's 11. It's the last item noted.
Yeah, I see, yeah. Right, yeah, that's where I got the $30,000 figure from. But in the contract itself, I did not see those figures, but, okay, I have no further questions. I'm just not very comfortable with the information in front of me to vote in favor of this, but thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Sadi. Any other councilor wishes to speak on this camp? All right, thank you, directors here.
You're welcome.
With that said, we will vote on 8.2 roof replacement on the Old Town Mill. All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay.
Counselor Sadi.
Okay.
Opposed.
The motion carries 5-1. Okay, thank you. Next, we have 8.4, Councilor Sadi. All three cams.
So I'll go with 8.4A, move the CAM.
Second.
City Council hereby approves the grant to be made to Thomas Sheridan in the amount of $100,000 for property located at 92 Eugene O'Neill Drive for the purpose of interior renovation. City Council authorized the mayor to sign the contract and any other documents necessary and incidental to effectuating said contract for funding. If you wouldn't mind, just bear with me 1 sec so I get to my question. That'll be through you, Council President, to Director Reyes, I believe. This is an ARPA funding one, and I believe it's through Economic Development. So I believe Eugene O'Neill Drive is the building almost across the street from the old Citizens Bank, and I believe that it was recently purchased by the Chamber of Commerce, and I believe that Mr. Sheridan is in fact the executive director of that organization. And I believe the state of Connecticut gave them, I think, 1.6 million to purchase the building.
I believe there was 1.2.
Okay, 1.2 million. And so I'm assuming this CAM here is telling us that they need to do additional renovations?
Correct. So this is really the kind of a grant in partnership with the Chamber of Commerce coming to the city of New London, redeveloping a property in our gateway, and also providing economic development and building incubator spaces within that location. That's what.
So I guess, I believe the Chamber of Commerce is a 501c3 nonprofit. So when they purchase this building, does that mean we're going to lose whatever tax revenue that we used to see from whatever the company was that used to own it?
I can't confirm that. I would have to dig that up.
Because I do have the utmost respect for the Chamber of Commerce, and I think they probably did start here in New London, and they've moved to Gales Ferry, and then I think most recently in Waterford. And I do want to, accept them with open arms, because I think they do an absolutely wonderful job representing the businesses in the community and then giving back to the community.
I will say, in regards, if they were a nonprofit, what we're collecting on an empty building is minimal compared to the personal property taxes that we'll be collecting on the new businesses that they bring in. It'll far exceed the real estate value. So I'm not sure what they pay now, or if they're a 401 or 501c, but that's information I'll definitely take as a takeaway and make sure I report back to the council.
And I think it will be a positive, a very big positive for the city. Just a little bit nervous with all the nonprofits that we have, having one more come in, but I really don't think there's anything we can do about that, right?
I will also say that any nonprofit that rents out the space pays taxes, so they're going to be renting out incubator space, so they'll be treated like any other business entity who pays real estate taxes.
So it won't be 100% tax-free then?
What I'm saying is, if they were a nonprofit who decided to rent out their interior space to a business, which that's what they intend to do, they have to pay taxes.
Thank you very much. I have no further questions in reference to this issue.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor Sadi. Any other councilor? Nope. Okay, we'll vote on that CAM. All right. All those in favor, 8.4A, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Okay, the motion carries there. Let's go to CAM B.
8.4B, move to CAM.
Second.
6 Truman LLC, the city council hereby approves the grant to be made to 6 Truman LLC, located 6 Truman Street, to repair and replace windows in the amount of $37,000. City council authorized the mayor to sign the contract and any other documents necessary and incidental to effectuating said contract. Funding is available in 2144223B-5 58250 ARPAF. Through you, Council President, to Director Reyes. Do we have a name associated with 6 Truman LLC?
Sorry, this is the Jan Electronic building at the corner of Truman and Bank Street. So they've small business in our community now, I'm going to say over 30 years.
Thank you. So, you know, knowing Jan Christensen, Mark Christensen, and his brother, who actually is on the letterhead for receiving this grant, they have given so much to this community in public service and in good business and in just, you know, good faith. And I think they run a great business. And I think this is exactly what this money should go towards. And I appreciate the fact that and I do plan on fully supporting this. I have no further comments or questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Sadi. Any other councilors? Nope. Okay, thank you, Director Reyes. With that, we will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, the motion carries 6-0. That's for Cam B. Let's go to Cam C now. Councilor Sadi.
Move to Cam.
Second.
Lighthouse Ventures LLC, City Council hereby approves the grant to be made to Lighthouse Ventures LLC located 6 West Guthrie Place in the amount of $75,000 to support reopening after a fire damaged the building. City Council authorized the mayor to sign the contract and any other documents necessary and incidental to effectuating such contract. Funding is available in 2144223B 58250 ARPAF. Through you, Council President, to Director Reyes. I know Alwyn Christie. I was on this council when we agreed to sell him that building. Although it's been slow, I think he's doing a very nice job down there. But I'm just wondering how this happened so quick. I mean, the fire was only a week or two ago, and there's a lot of other businesses in this city. And I do support him, but I'm just wondering whether or not, you know, there's other businesses out there that have sent in requests, and I don't believe that they've been approved or disapproved. And I'm just sort of trying to figure out how this one happened so quick. Other than the fact that I would have loved to have gone to Mother's Day brunch there last Sunday, because I was actually at the opening, whatever it was, buffet they had, so.
Right, I had my Mother's Day brunch canceled too. I had a reservation for 16 that day. So, yeah, a lot of us, unfortunately. So, one thing I want to mention, when applications are sent to our office, those applications are reviewed, and even though we get applications for people, once you go through the applicant, understand the project, not everyone is truly ready to start. Right? So even though we have application, it's a rolling application. So it's not so much based on the impact of the project per se, and that has a lot to do with it. But we get applications that gives us an estimate, have a project, but when we truly go through, are you ready to start this project, we get to the nitty gritty of it and they're not truly ready. So we can't take those projects on. So similar to, we'll go back to like 6 Truman Street, right? We really had to identify, work it. Is there labor pool out there? When can we get the windows? There's a lot of back and forth to understand whether an application is ready to be approved. Right, so the only reason this one made it to top is this building was ready to open, and unfortunately, Mr. Christie suffered a terrible fire, and we just lost a building in a historic. We just lost a new business in a historic building. The ARPA dollars that we established were for historic preservation, which this falls under, to make sure that the things that caused the fire, he can start looking at how do you remediate that. Doesn't happen again. That's why those are happening, and those are things that are happening now. It doesn't put anybody to the back seat per se, but it just says that this grant and what he's doing and trying to get back open business is ready today, versus someone who gave an application and says, well, I'm not really ready to the fall. I don't really have the 25% yet, or I don't have the labor pool. The supply chain is not there. These are all things that we have to go through. Application is case by case. basis. I don't want anyone to feel that because we gave Mr. Christie this funding that any other application is in jeopardy. We have yet to receive enough applications that will make up for all of year 1 and year 2 funding. When that happens, when we first talked about this, I will come back to council and say, we have finally reached a point where we have received enough applications that we can fulfill our entire grants. Until all those applications are fulfilled and sought through, we're not accepting any more. Right now, it's a rolling application. It's still open.
So the questions that my constituents have is, was that fire not covered by insurance? And won't all this work that we're giving a grant for today be covered by his insurance?
That to me, that's looking
Question
into,
asked,
yeah,
right?
that you're looking into a crystal ball. From what I look at it, I look at a building, number one, this building has never asked for a dime, right? And most of our historic preservation and development projects, either in downtown or either in an enterprise zone, they get a tax abatement, they either got tax credits, they get revolving loan fund, not a dime. This gentleman was able to do that all on his own. Hasn't asked the city for a nickel to assist. The $75,000 is to get him back open again. And if he does get reimbursed from an insurance or from whatever case may be, there's still a lot of work left in that building. He still has 26 rooms he still has to work on to get turned over back to where we're at. Right now, that gentleman is working on making sure he gets that kitchen back, he gets the business back. The insurance comes in way after the fact, where support is needed today.
Thank you very much for your honesty and your candor. I have no further questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Peck.
Thank you, President Dominguez. To you, Director, sorry, Reyes.
Hey, you come
It's a
whenever you
long,
want.
it's a long night. It's a long night. I just have a comment. Your mic. I'm thankful for you and your department and the mayor for quick action with helping them. And I just want to go on record with this statement to thank you all for, in my opinion, helping them out with this business, because the Lighthouse Inn is a historic building in New London, and I have a lot of fond memories there. And I'm just happy to see that we were quick as far as our action with helping out this business, because I'm looking forward to seeing them open, and I think a lot of people are. So I just want to go on record to thanking everybody that's involved with helping them with this funding that they desperately need. We all know they need it, and we want to make sure that we support this business, keep this business around. And I'm in full support of this tonight. And I just want to go on record saying that. Thank you.
Let me just say this real quick. I just want to thank Director Reyes just for the thorough explanation about the importance that nobody's being put in the back burner. There's a lot of money still, the application's being looked on. So thank you for that explanation, fully explanation. So with that said, Councilor Sadi, go ahead.
Through you, Council President, to Law Director Londrigan.
Attorney Londrigan? Sorry, you've been called on, sir. Councilor Sadi.
Apologies.
So for the record, I was invited to his grand opening brunch, which was free of charge. Would it be inappropriate for me to vote on this issue due to the fact that I was probably given a $17 or $50 gratuity or whatever it is, whatever that brunch was worth?
Yeah, it's a de minimis amount under our Board of Ethics, so I don't think that it's a necessary step. If you felt, your own personal ethos decided that it was appropriate to step aside, that's fine, but it's a de minimis amount. I don't think it's necessary for you to recuse yourself.
Thank you for that response. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, Councilor Sadi. All right, with that said, we'll vote on 8.4 Camp C, the Lighthouse Ventures. All right, thank you, Director Ayers, again. All right, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Okay, the motion carries. All right, next 8.6, that's Councilor Sadi, that's Cam A and B.
Yes, and I am going to do 8.6, Big Billy Trash Systems A and Big Billy Trash, because the questions are all the same. Big Billy Trash Contract, City Council hereby approves the contract with Big Billy Trash Systems in the amount of $215,655 for 43 trash units that will reduce litter around the city. City Council further authorized the mayor to sign the contract, and any other documents necessary to effectuate said contract. Funding will be available in 214-30104-57300 trash. B, ordinance approval. City Council approves ordinance 05-16-22-02 in the amount of $216,000 from the operating transfer from the Fund 2841, Project ARPAF, private donations and contributions, CTDEP, NIP bottle revenue, and the operating transfer fund of 3600 for the purpose of funding Big Belly Trash Systems. The ordinance given its first and second reading in the process of passage by title only. Councilors having copies, and the third reading of the subject ordinance is adopted by a roll call vote.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Through you, Council President, to Mayor Passero. Mayor Passero, we have discussed this matter in the past, and I'm trying to figure out whether it's $216,000 is the total cost of this project, or whether it's $216,000 plus the NIP bottle revenue plus other private donations. And I believe your discussion was that the NIP money was part of that? Or maybe Director McBride?
No, I think, I'm going to let David, I'm going to let David, we have cobbled together the money from different sources, including the NIP money, contributions from the city center district, and ARPA funds. But I'll
Yep, that's correct. That's, the total is the 216. It's the sum total of all the funding that we, in essence, found the funds to fund this initiative.
Okay, so then, having said that, the way, if I do my math correctly, $216,000 divided by 43 trash receptacles are $5,025 per receptacle.
These things are not cheap. They are high tech. They tell us when they need to be emptied. So a public works crew is only deployed when that particular unit says it needs to be emptied. So we're no longer going to be, routinely emptying the trash receptacles in our downtown business district and also in Hodges Square.
And I think I discussed this with you also. My thought process is, would this money be better spent purchasing every citizen in our city a big blue recycle bin? And I guess, so through you, Council President, to Director Sear, because my understanding is, years ago when we had this task force, we got paid for recycling. Is that trend being reversed now with what's going on in China and them not accepting?
Nip bottles are not recyclable anyway.
Well, no, I know that, but I'm just saying, and I think the figure was $400,000 or $500,000 to purchase everybody a large recycling bin to.
It's not going to help solve the nip bottle problem. Right now, we have a nip bottle problem. The nip bottle problems are all over our streets, going into our catch basins, going into Long Island Sound.
Right, but my understanding, the Big Belly is to take care of trash
Litter.
pretty much in the downtown area.
Litter,
right.
Oh.
So anyways, through you to Director Scheer, could you give us an update on where we're at with recycling? I mean, we used to make or save a lot of money with recycling, but I don't know that that's still the same as it was 4 years ago.
Yes, there was a point before I got here where municipalities were paid about $25 a ton. That went down to $5 a ton. We had a good contract because here in New London, we held on to that. After China refused to accept recycling, that turned into a cost for municipalities, and that cost went up about 2 years ago to $70 cost. So what we decided, and I'm giving you the big picture, it's SCARA, our 12-town group. SCARA decided, and they're the ones that negotiated that contract. The city did not do that on its own. SCARA did it as a group. Negotiated that at $70 to be revisited, actually. And so SCARA picked up that. I think it was about $3 million for all of the towns since then. SCARA, through their reserves, paid that difference. Currently, it's about $30 a ton on the other side. Municipalities, our contract now are through SCARA. Currently, the market's going all over, but it's totally flip-flop. So if we're going to make that even, SCARA needs to get about $33 million of that back before they'll be level as to what's with the market. So we deal through SCARA, we don't deal on our own with the market. That's what's happened.
So as of this year, then recycling is still good because we're now back to saving about $50 a ton as opposed to putting it into our garbage system?
$30 a ton.
Saving about $30 a ton.
Revenue, currently now.
Okay. I have no further questions at this juncture.
Thank you, Councilor Sadi. Any other councilors? Okay, we will proceed.
President
Yes,
Dominguez, I had a
Councilor,
question. I have my hand
okay,
up.
sorry, Councilor Peck, I didn't see you.
This is directed to Director Seer.
Mr. Seer, Director Seer, could you just stay? I didn't see Councilor Peck, he has a question for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you again, sir, for hanging in there with us this evening. A question about the Big Belly. Exactly, can you explain a little bit about what this is and where will it be in the city? Will it just be downtown or throughout the city cleaning?
Yes, and this is a joint venture, if you will, departmentally with Reyes. So we work very closely together on this. Felix has kind of led it, but I've been part of it. We had a consultant come in with us, explain what the Big Belly did. I walked all downtown with the consultant and showed him all of our businesses, all of our cross streets, where we currently have the old metal systems, et cetera, et cetera. So he did a real thorough study of what our needs were, and he's worked with the company for a long time, put them in throughout the world. So that's how he came up both along the waterfront and then Bank and State and some other key areas, and he knows the experience of how far apart they have to be for people to still use them. I mean, there's a lot of human nature in there that brought to this. So obviously you don't want them too far apart. You don't want them too congested. You want them spaced so people are going to use them, but they're not obstructive of traffic or whatever. So out on the waterfront, there was a whole different way. So he recommended they have different sizes. Some are compacting, where they're solar driven. They've got a solar panel on all of them. They're very attractive. They're, in a way, you can put, Felix can go into that. You can put graphics. We plan to put graphics on, but it's all spirit of New London. Feel comfortable here, feel vibrant, we're clean, we're high tech. From our operational standpoint, they're also totally enclosed and safe. We have a problem with seagulls in the containers, and they get in. There's really no quick way to deal with that. This is going to be open, shut, locked tight. So people put their trash in, and if they're compacting ones, they fine-tune the system. So where we need the higher volume ones, we're going to place those. It's not one utter features all. So people put their trash or recycling in them. There's a monitor that goes to a computer that I'll be monitoring. It tells us what the volume on each of those is. When it gets to a certain volume, our operator has, it's not really a key, but somehow they have access. And then we're 216,000 includes tipper containers that are inside that fit our tippers on our trucks. So, and they're wheels. So we'll open a door when it's full, we'll pull it out, we'll put it on a tipper, we'll tip it, we put it back in. And they've used these a lot of different places. I was convinced that they really have it down to a science. So we can, like the mayor said, we can keep track of how full any of those are and almost on a moment's notice, real time, know what the volume is. And from our end, it's going to save us a lot. So, and down the road, maybe we'll even put them in our parks. It's instead of us continually just driving up and down the street, looking in, maybe taking a bag that's half full, tying it up, taking it out, another bag in, doing all that labor. This one is pretty automized.
Thank you. It sounds pretty interesting. If possible, if you could provide counselors with a graph or a photo of what this is, so we can kind of get a look of what these big belly systems look like. Because I'm trying to visualize in my head.
We have a map of where they would go, how they would be broken out, what they'd look like between me and Felix.
And are you looking to have these out in all over New London, or just in the future of moving them, around, or?
So in regards to the aesthetics of the trash canisters, obviously these are computerized dumpsters, miniature dumpsters for the pickup of litter and to maintain the litter in downtown. The cultural district is going to be working on the artwork on them, so each of them are going to have artwork, right? So we're going to have local artists do the graphic design. So each of these containers are going to be essentially designed by New London artists to essentially grab the essence of our arts and culture and the fabric of the city, and they're going to be placed around downtown, and also we're putting them in Hodges Square as well, parts of New London. This is our central business district. Can they be used in other parts of New London? Absolutely. Probably not this dense, but you could probably use them in other places like Ocean Beach. In the future, could be another possible location for them. These are the things that we're going to start to do, and we're going to start having to do, because in a couple of years we're going to have this beautiful museum on the waterfront, and our downtown and our tourism things are changing. So a lot of research went into the Big Belly system. I myself went to Charleston, South Carolina, to look at how they operate in another historic town, to make sure that we understand that as we start implementing these infrastructural needs in regards to whether it's sidewalk improvements, signage, trash, that we're bringing this downtown to the next level in anticipation, knowing that the traffic is going to be increased. And litter and cleanliness is absolutely important, vital, without putting additional strain on our public works.
Thank you, and I stand corrected. The photo was in the packet, so thank you. Because this is very important, with environment and keeping our rivers and our streets clean is very important. So, thank you for all your work.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Peck, and thank you, Director Reyes. Councilors on my left. Okay. Councilor Sadi.
So pretty much as a comment more than a question for 8.6B, again, our packet does show that $100,000 is coming from ARPA, $40,000 coming from City Center District, $27,000 is coming from the NIP bottle revenue share, and $40,000 is coming from operating transfer in. So it looks to me as though the city is kicking in 49,000 tax dollars. So I do plan on supporting this item at this point in time, and I appreciate all the answers from the people that were asked questions of. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Sadi. Okay. Let's vote. Is this the roll call? Yes.
On both of them.
All right. Councilor, doesn't call you Councilor. City Clerk Ayala, roll call vote, please.
President, I see that the first one is...
Council President, through you to Attorney Lonergan, should we split these votes? Because one is a roll call vote and one is not?
Yeah, if I would say for economies, you can vote on them both at the same time. You can have any vote can always be a roll call vote. So long as you have a roll call vote to cover B, if you wanted to move both of these and have a roll call vote for both A and B, you'd be covered. And that way you just have to have one vote rather than two.
Thank you very much.
Cephas? Yeah, the reason I did it, because I think you read both cams. So I just thought about it. We're all set. Roll call vote, City Clerk Ayala?
President Dominguez,
Yes.
Councilor Marks,
Yes.
Councilor Peck,
Yes.
Sadi,
Yes.
Councilor Burke,
Yes.
President Pro Temp Dice,
Yes.
6 yes.
Okay, thank you. City Clerk Ayala, the motion carries. 8.9, Councilor Sadi, ordinance at Jenny School
Move to
HVAC.
CAM.
Second,
Ordinance Jenny School HVAC, CAM, City Council approve orders number 05-16-22-05 in the amount of $1,100,000 made from the bond issued in March of 2021 for the replacement of HVAC systems for Jenny School. The ordinance is given its first and second reading in the process of passage by title only. All council have a copy, and the third reading of subject ordinance is adopted by roll call vote. Has that been seconded? Okay, thank you very much. So through you to Budget Director McBride, I believe that this item was on our last agenda. And so is this the ordinance allowing you to pay for this, or?
Yes, that's correct. I believe it was on the last agenda, was the actual approving the ability for the mayor to move forward and sign that contract. We did not have all of these ordinances ready for the last meeting, so we brought them all forward for this meeting. So if you see 8.9, 8.11, 8.12, 8.13, and 8.14 are all ordinances exactly what you stated. It's an accounting transaction to make sure and get the approval to move the money, to bring the revenue into the city's coffer so we can expend those monies.
Thank you very much. I have no further questions.
okay, thank you, Councilor Sadi. Any other councilor?
And I apologize, I will make one statement. I did not support the purchasing because of, it did not go out to bid, and, it, you know, it was a sole source. But so anyway, so I plan on not supporting this evening. Thank you.
Okay. Let's go, this is a roll call vote, 8.9. City Clerk Ayala?
Councilor Peck,
Yes.
Councilor Sadi,
No.
Councilor Burke,
Yes.
President Dominguez,
Yes.
President Pro Temp Dice,
Yes.
Councilor Marks,
Yes.
5 yes, 1 no.
Okay, the motion carries. Move on to the next one. 8.11, Councilor Sadi.
Move to CAM. City Council approves ordinance 05-16-22-07 in the amount of $700,000, increasing public works capital project funds, additional appropriations by issuing bans for additional work needed to demolish or move materials for taking down the Crystal Ave apartments. The ordinance is given its first and second reading in the process of passage by title only. All councils having copies, and the third reading of subject ordinance is adopted by a roll call vote. Through you to Mayor Passero, how much more is taking it down the Crystal Ave high-rise going to cost us? Is this it, or are we going to continue to have to come up with $500,000 to $1 million?
Actually, no, this was explained to council and approved by council many months ago. As you know, the state, or should know, the state paid close to $4.5 million to take down the high-rise. After we received the second money from the second half of that $4.5 million from the state, we ran into that problem that we explained to you, where the hazardous waste landfills had closed down. and the trucking costs had skyrocketed. That is what created the need for this extra appropriation. But what we have now, what we end up with is a clean, if you've gone by there lately,
This morning.
a clean site that will be ready to be marketed and put on the tax rolls. We do hope to recover our very modest investment in this economic development project. I think the amount of state support for this project and for New London for this project is, to me, unprecedented. So it's just, one of the, I think one of the recognitions by the state administration, this and the recently acquired over $6 million community challenge grant, the confidence they have in what we're doing in this city. So I think we more than leveraged the $700,000, which unfortunately is just a factor attributed to unforeseen circumstances, namely the pandemic and then the war in Ukraine on top of that.
And my apologies, you're correct. You did inform us of this, and as Director McBride explained during the last motion, this is just the ordinance approving the funds, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Sadi. Any other councilors? And just to also state, Councilor Sadi, the other ones too are going to be just ordinances that you called out that Director McBride also mentioned already. Okay. All right, so with that said, we'll move on. This is a 8.11, right? This is City Clerk Ayala.
Councilor Sadi.
Yes.
President Dominguez.
Yes.
Councilor Burke.
Yes.
President Pro Temp Dice.
Yes.
Councilor Marks.
Yes.
Councilor Peck.
Yes.
6 yes.
Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. 8.13, Sadi Ordinance Infrastructure Projects.
Move to CAM.
Second.
Ordinance Infrastructure Project, the city approves orders number 05-16-2209 in the amount of $1.9 million, made from the funds received from issuing notes to be used for infrastructure projects in the city. The ordinance is given its first and second reading in the process of passage by title only, all councils having copies, and the third reading of subject ordinance is adopted by roll call vote. My question was going to be what this is for, but I now know what it's for, and so I have no further questions.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Sadi. All right, any other councilor? No. Councilor, here we go, man. City Clerk Ayala.
Councilor Marks. President Dominguez.
Yes.
President Pro Temp Dice.
Yes.
Councilor Burke.
Yes.
Councilor Peck.
Yes.
Councilor Sadi.
Yes.
6 yes.
Okay, the motion carries. Let's move down to 8.14, Public Works Vehicles. Councilor Sadi.
Move to CAM.
Second.
8.14, right, yeah. City Council approves orders number 05-16-22-10 in the amount of $143,000 made from funds received for notes issued to purchase public works vehicles. The ordinance is given its first and second reading in the process of passage by title only, all councils having copies, and the third reading of subject ordinance is adopted by roll call vote. Again, I didn't have any backup on what vehicles they were, and I did see new vehicles down there this week, and I was thinking, what are we doing, appropriating money after the fact, but I now realize that we had given the city the authority to purchase those vehicles, so I have no further questions at this point in time, and I apologize for pulling these with not having complete knowledge.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Sadi. Any other councilors? Nope. Okay, let's vote. City Clerk Ayala, please.
President Pro Temp Dice.
Yes.
Councilor Burke.
Yes.
Councilor Sadi.
Yes.
Councilor Marks. Councilor Peck.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to 10.0 executive session. That's me. Move to Cam.
Second.
The city council will meet in executive session pursuant to C.G.S. Section 1-200, parentheses 6, parentheses capital E, with the mayor or a member of the mayor's office, the director of personnel, the fire chief, the police chief, the finance director, and members of the law director's office to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with the city's fire union and police union regarding ARPA funds, as such discussions are exempt pursuant to General Statute 1-210, parentheses letter B, parentheses number 9. I have a second ready. All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Okay, we're going to executive session. We'll be back.
I would like to make a motion for adjournment.
Okay. All right, it's been seconded, all right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Okay. This meeting is adjourned at 9:02. Thank you, Councilor Burke. Good night.